Let's not call Minnesota yet either. There's 0 returns in Morrison County, Benton County, Sherburne County, North.
All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Ellen, let's talk about this. Roger Stone, as a political analyst, we were here 4 years ago together. By 11 o'clock at night, it looked like Trump was going to win. What are you really thinking right now? Is Trump winning or is Trump losing?
I'm still cautiously optimistic, Alex. Minnesota, I think the violence in Minneapolis has backfired very badly on the Democrats. I still think Minnesota is within our grasp. That is not a state we carried 4 years ago, I don't believe. That would change the overall calculus. All I can tell you right now, Alex, is the mail-ox is being passed around at Biden headquarters. They know the jig is up. We've already proven.
Say that again. What's being passed around?
The mail-ox.
Heartburn.
Your listeners.
I got it. The heartburn, yeah.
Pepto-Bismol. You get it. The point, of course, is that we were told this was a blowout. That Trump wasn't even close, and he was going to get slaughtered in all of these states. He was going to lose Florida. He was going to lose.
And so now they're going to Plan B, that all these states, it's going to take weeks. They're going Plan B right now. That's good news. Shows they didn't try to seal it day one. Then hopefully Plan B is being launched. Then we can beat that. How do we beat Plan B when they try to keep these states open forever, and the communists are already rioting and running around, foaming at the mouth?
He still has extraordinary.
Allowing their kids to go to school. They understand the challenges of the economy, but we're hearing silly stuff. The CDC put out guidance today that said if you have COVID, you can go and vote in person.
That's nuts.
That doesn't make any sense. And it's completely contra to everything.
You can protest against Donald Trump. You can go vote if you're actually sick and tested positive for COVID, but you can't attend a Trump
Sean,
rally.
I saw that today. My jaw dropped. That makes it look as though the federal government,
Don't
or at
go
least
to the CDC for medical
or at least
guidance.
those of the federal government who don't want the president elected, are putting out that information specifically for that reason. That's going to drive a lot of people to start talking about, a deep state type issue.
Let me jump in here real quick. Just want to mention this. We have Trump supporters now outside the White House. We've also talked about the Black Lives Matter protesters outside the White House as well. That's a little bit of a tense situation. Let's check in now with NewsMax national correspondent Logan Raddick, who is live at the White House. And Logan, give us an update for us. We have the Trump supporters there. We saw the Black Lives Matter protesters. Are these two groups being separated?
For right now, they're still together, but there could be some separation coming in the near future because there was a calmer protest earlier on, but a much more intense group of protesters has shown up at Black Lives Matter Plaza. We're even seeing fireworks being shot up into the crowd, and there are some Trump supporters there trying to make their case for why they're out there supporting their candidate, whereas a lot of the people out here are anti-Trump. You have some Antifa flags flying around out here on the plaza just outside the White House. So tensions are running high, not as hectic as you would expect tonight, obviously, since we don't have a concrete decision just yet, John.
All right, Logan Raddick, keep an eye on that for us. We'll check back in with you. Thank you so much. All right, we were just talking about Nevada. Let's check in now with Steve Sanchez, a syndicated radio host at KDWN in Las Vegas. Steve, thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right, so Nevada, not a traditional stronghold for Republicans, but there's some good news apparently coming out of Nevada.
We're enthusiastic out here. I'm doing a live radio show, election coverage myself, and what I'm hearing on the street, what I'm hearing from political strategists, what I'm hearing from the chairman himself, Michael McDonald, the Republican Party chairman of the state of Nevada, is it's tight, but it's looking really good for Donald Trump. And the poll,
it is.
the voting polling places just
it is
about an hour ago. So now we're starting to see more good news coming.
All right, Steve, thanks so much. We'll get back to you in a little bit. I want to get an update now too on Arizona out west, and they're telling me, Mark and Sean, that Fox News had called Arizona early, but now there's some backtracking there, some data maybe that would indicate otherwise. But based on what you were saying about Maricopa County, it would still be tough for Donald Trump to make up that ground.
Well, look, I mean, again, a part of it is understanding what's out right now and what's in. And I think the question is, it was going to be a tough haul. I don't know why. I mean, I have
drugs, including cocaine, heroin, and meth for personal use. So now we'll see,
meth encouraged Antifa.
Hunter Biden just invested in property.
Yeah, Hunter Biden moving to Oregon, perhaps.
Oh boy.
So, what's the latest election news?
Sure. CNN has called Ohio for Trump, and Fox has called Texas for Trump. According to Tom Elliott, Trump needs Iowa, Wisconsin, and then either Pennsylvania or Michigan, and then it's over. And he's currently leading in all four.
Oh, there
of
we go.
those,
Look at that.
Places. So Texas has been called by Fox News. CNN has called Ohio, both for Trump.
Look at that.
So things are looking good there. And I mean, as far as I can tell, the return numbers have basically stalled out. We're at Florida's at 96%, Texas 88%,
We'll get another
Pennsylvania
electoral map in a sec.
54%.
There we
I've been
go.
watching these for about 30 minutes, and they've all stayed at that percentage. So I don't know if they're all just not counting votes anymore,
There we go.
or things are just taking a little bit longer. But everything seems to have sort of slowed down here on this razor's edge.
And if you're
You know,
curious,
that's the question I have. Harrison, is that if you've got
Last
this open-ended thing where
electoral
they can
college
keep bringing
votes,
in
as you
mail
can see,
ballots, I mean, how do
down
they?
the bottom here,
Is that the
304.
game that they're going to play to say that we can't call this because we don't know what's in the mail? You know, the election is in the mail.
227,
yeah, well,
227 is what he's at right now.
Robert
227 is
Barnes
what
retweets
Hillary
this. Pennsylvania
was at
already
last
saying
time.
it's going to take
So,
longer than anticipated to count their ballots, not
see
on
what
pace to
happens
finish
next.
by Friday. So they're expecting not to get results from Pennsylvania until at least Friday, at the earliest Friday.
And by the way, I wanted Barnes on tonight anyways. Let's get him on. But we knew how this was going. They're going to use these key states to claim the ballots haven't been counted. Now here we are again.
That's right.
I'm super tired.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to say it's ambiguous. We don't know. I mean, how can you say what percentage of the votes are? You always see that. What percentage of the votes are out there? We've got new people that are showing up in the country all the time. They're allowed to vote. What is the 100% number? It seems like that's an open-ended thing as well as the ending date on this.
So, Owen, what is the latest numbers?
Well, as of right now, I think that, again, we're watching the next returns that we get from North Carolina are going to be very...
270. That gives both campaigns time now to go start scrubbing some of these states and saying, a projection is meaningless. It doesn't allocate any electoral votes. The Trump campaign could decide, you know what, we need Arizona. Let's send 1,000 lawyers to Arizona and figure out if there's something wrong.
Well, look, I will say this, by the way, in Nevada, we're hearing right now that there is
There's some crazy
state,
stuff going
the state
on
result is being delayed an
Washington,
hour
D.C.
after
right
a
now.
judge has now ruled that
Black
some polling
Bloc and
locations
Antifa
can stay open later.
militants
so we're seeing
are
Nevada's
going wild right
results
now.
be delayed, and that's,
Riots are
depends
going
on-
crazy in Washington, D.C. We got to be careful about that.
Arizona. I was just talking to the folks on the Trump campaign. They're saying there's over 1 million votes that are out there. That 1 million votes, they're
See if we
saying
can find
is
a stream
mostly
of that.
election day votes. The election day votes are cutting for them 2-1. It was way premature for Fox to call that. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing a Trump victory in Arizona, but we've seen this all night. We saw it in Ohio. We saw it in Georgia. We saw it even in the beginning in Florida, where you see what's happening with the early votes. They're getting count first, but then as the night goes on, those election day voters, the Trump voters came out overwhelmingly on election day.
And Jim McLaughlin's joining us back here on the desk to talk about the situation in Arizona. It has been curious, so delayed with the call for Florida, but calling Arizona so early.
No
it
live
really
streams
boggles them
of
up.
it, but there is a few
It's kind of
videos
bizarre.
I can pull up.
And look, I think the networks have to be really careful. I remember back in the day, back in 2000, when Dan...
All right, so they're here on Twitter. Got a couple videos. It's the first one. This is going on in Washington, D.C. right now. We got another one here. That's crazy. Wow.
on their criminal behavior that we can sit here
I
and
agree,
call them
Owens.
and they
So
do it anyway.
let's walk through the numbers. Oh my God, Steven Crowder is literally on right now and get his take on all of this. Louder with Crowder is ready to go to us. We're supposed to have him on 11:30, right? Is he ready right now? Oh, he's ready right now.
You know, the thing
He's brushing his teeth.
I can't tell. It's like the straight video I get. Is Steven Crowder ready to go with us? All right. He's on the stage. Go ahead, David.
The thing is that,
Oh,
that
that was
Trump
great.
has outperformed their predictions so much that he's in striking distance and within fighting distance on this legal warfare, the lawfare that they're going.
I agree.
Oh,
Despite
man.
all the fraud.
That's right.
My back has been killing me, so I got this pillow on my back. Oh, it
And
feels
again,
so
you look at
good.
what the crowds were showing us. You know, at one point, I think it was about a week and a half ago, I totaled it up about 360,000 people at Trump rallies during this virus scare, and Biden had about 600 at that point in time. I mean, that's a ridiculous ratio.
Can we punch up
2,000.
Steven Crowder? He's
How many
dancing in
views is
front of
this
the
one?
camera right now, brushing his teeth.
1,500.
I just want to get that on tape.
He did.
There he is. Let's put his headset on right now.
So there have been a couple more states called. Reuters just called Montana for Trump. It looks like Georgia has been called for Trump by a couple media outlets. Trump wins Georgia. Fox has actually called back its Arizona call.
You were talking about that.
Oh, it was Roger that was talking.
Roger.
Oh, here's
said
a
he
rally
had to
over
call
in
back.
Miami.
The one difference, though, between Florida 2000 and Pennsylvania 2020 is that in 2000 in Florida, you had a Republican governor, and Republican Secretary of State, Catherine Harris.
Totally different situation
In 2020,
Pennsylvania.
you have a Democratic governor, a
Look, it's
Democratic
in Miami, right
Secretary of
here,
State,
see?
and a Democratic Attorney General.
Havana,
who's been
Miami.
very clear-
Miami.
That's
Woo.
true. That's true, but you have a Democratic Attorney General. who has
Miami's
been
for
very
Trump.
forceful in what he's saying against President Trump.
Because Florida was already called for Trump, even though the mainstream media didn't want to call it. NewsMax called it, and OAN called it real early.
Putting his foot on the scale this afternoon.
Because it was like 99% of the precinct was already in, so they might as well have called it, you know?
Real quick, because I just want to reference what we have on the screen here. These are Trump supporters in Little Havana, down in Miami, celebrating their victory. They came through.
They have a lot to celebrate.
You hear the cowbells clanging. They're going to be down on Calle Ocho tonight.
There's three other differences with Florida. Number one, we didn't have Twitter back then.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
the amount of
Twitter's great.
attention that this
I like
was
Twitter,
getting
but I don't like, you
Two
know,
is, it probably
mainstream
won't just be Pennsylvania.
social
As
media,
we
but I
talked
do
about
like
earlier tonight,
the
about 4 hours
platform
ago,
that you
the
have
Bush
with
campaign
that.
and the Gore
Like,
campaign made the strategic
you can post
decision,
something and
we're
it gets
just
out
gonna
to a
fight
lot of
for
people
it.
real quick.
I think
Easy.
every state will be up for grabs now. It's not going to be restricted to one state. And the last thing is, we live now in a much more polarized culture.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything that comes up, everything will be fought about, will be discussed. It'll be like 1,000 OJ trials every night.
Can I make one here? Look, I don't mean to get way ahead of ourselves because but it is fun. You got to do it. It's after midnight. We got to. But I think Nancy Pelosi was very clear that she was ready to act in the House of Representatives. I think Nancy Pelosi yesterday thought she was going to be playing with a very different deck of cards than she's going to be playing with when that new Congress gets sworn in next January. That's going to change the calculus a lot. You take a state like Virginia that now has picked up Republican votes. Remember, the way it works is that if it goes to the House of Representatives, the House decides the president, the Senate decides the vice president. Every state gets one one vote for president. So it doesn't matter how many members Nancy Pelosi has. It matters
It's
how
all
many
about the state delegations in the Congress.
Yeah. So let's say you were Nancy Pelosi's spokesperson. Ready? I want to know, why did Speaker Pelosi think the president was able to win Florida with the support of African American and Hispanic voters? Go. How did that happen? How did that happen?
I've got to go home, Mark. I mean, this is going to be tough because again, this kills their narrative.
Correct.
Yeah.
See, this
the
was even
problem.
have
That
Florida
when they
called.
go out there and tell you that if you're a Trump supporter,
This is
and
the
you look
live
at
one.
Maxine Waters, she came out yesterday and said that if you vote for Donald Trump, that you're a racist. You look at some of these folks, Chelsea Handler telling 50 Cent that he can't be a black man supporting Donald Trump. This kills the narrative of the left. That this is not the man that they think they are. That all of these people know something very different than they do.
It backfired on them totally. You're looking at that in Little Havana. they're celebrating Maribel Salazar winning. They're celebrating Carlos Jimenez winning, and they're celebrating Donald Trump winning. And you know what it's telling us? Donald Trump, the reason why he's winning tonight is because he expanded his base.
Yeah.
He doubled his support among African Americans,
Yep.
and he increased his support significantly with Hispanics. And
Yep.
in many ways, when he wins, he's going to own a lot of that back to brown and black Americans. And
Yep.
I think that's a great thing, and it's a great sign for the Republican
hard
Party.
for
for the
Speaker
future.
Pelosi
It's a
to
very
explain.
difficult
Yeah.
thing, not just for Speaker Pelosi, but for so many people on the left, because it undermined what they believe to be true.
You know what one of the most interesting polling numbers I saw last cycle, back in 2016, was Pew did a good survey. It was on issues and whatnot. They asked about issues, and one of the questions was about race relations. 2/3 of Americans said under Obama and Biden that race relations had gotten worse. And what that was a function of, constantly playing the race card, it backfired on them. And I think we're seeing that again here tonight. And the American people are speaking loudly.
Well, I think one of the big things that
They're afraid of, quote unquote, the Proud Boys. No, they know who's rioting and looting, and they know that if Donald Trump wins this in a fair election, that they can expect their own stuff to be burned down. You know, please kill me last. Well, okay.
By the way,
I guess
Steven
you're last.
Crowder, are you wearing a shoulder holster firearm right now?
I am wearing a shoulder holster right now. I'm wearing the same shoulder holster that I wore at Jared Foster's there in Austin. Yeah, it's an old 357 Magnum. That's a 7-shot or 8-shot actually. Just because I wanted to go classic. I wanted to go old Dirty Harry look. I know that you're probably carrying
Speaking
a firearm,
of
but it's probably in the
interesting,
waistband.
cool stuff, look at these.
I said this earlier to Ben
I got
Street,
this.
Daily Wire folks. The reason I wear it is my
I
wife
got
likes
this.
suspenders, but I'm not Larry King. And I came home one day in this, and she got very handsy.
These things are
now
so
wear
cool.
it
I
at
love them.
every-
Yeah, I agree. When I come home, like I have like machine gun belts and like hand grenades, my wife gets so excited.
Yeah, well, just
You got it from
just
the
don't
GOP
dirty talk
store.
and tell her to pull the pin.
What is that giant bottle of liquor you got right there?
Along with this
well,
thing.
because I would say it's a Wildfowl.
It's an electric
102
lighter.
because they're not a sponsor, but it's nice. I actually haven't had that much to drink tonight. I was planning on it when Donald Trump won, but I haven't been doing that. Seems to me like
Pretty
you
cool,
guys
right?
might have been doing a little bit of drinking tonight.
I think I've had a couple drinks.
Shards for USB and everything.
I've been drinking. I never know with you, Alex, because sometimes you're like, I'll talk with you. I'm like, oh, maybe we can go. You're like, no, I'm not drinking anymore. I stopped. My sleep is better. And then you're like, oh, I'm drinking again. So I never know what it's gonna be.
I did like 4 months last year. I was drinking less than 30 pounds, but let's get serious. Steven Crowder, 2020 election. How epic is this? And it's so nail biting. Like, is Trump going to win? Like, what are the latest numbers? I want to hear. I just want to be here with Steven Crowder. And we've got Owen Sawyer in the other studio. I mean, what's the latest numbers? What's happening right now?
Well, I don't know what's going on. Is there anything that's new that's developed there? Hold on. Reg the Bandit is here with me. I don't think that anything has been called right now in this period of time, but Reg the Bandit, is there something new that I should know about?
The AP did call Minnesota for Biden.
Okay.
But, that's how it was looking anyway.
Okay, so Minnesota's gone to Biden. That doesn't really necessarily surprise me.
Yeah, and I had
it
Roger
really comes
Stone
down.
on like 20 minutes ago. He's like, I think Arizona's preemptive. They came out and like now Arizona's not sure, right?
Dang, I was hoping that Minnesota would
Yeah,
go to
some
Trump
places
too.
are saying that Arizona is
It's not that big of a
preemptive, but
deal.
it doesn't seem. Yeah, it doesn't seem like anyone is saying that it was called wrong. They were saying that it might have been called a little bit too soon. Listen, I don't know that that's necessarily foul play. I just think people are eager to try and call something first. So it really does come down to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And if Donald Trump wins 2 of those, he wins. It really is. Listen, it's anyone's game. They haven't called Iowa, as far as I know. That's obviously Donald Trump. And they haven't called North
So let me
Carolina
ask you
or
this
Georgia.
question, Steven Crowder, with your great audience right now, tune in. What happens if the left wins versus what happens if Trump wins? What do they do? Like, what's their victory dance versus their defeat event?
Well, I think, remember the song The Mexican Hat Dance? It's similar, only no hat.
That makes sense. So what's
They
going to
just
happen?
stalk. My point is they just stalk people. That's what they do. I don't think it really matters. I think maybe they might put Eddie Haskell it and put on a nice face for a couple of days if Joe Biden wins. But I think it's pretty tough, to put that genie back in the bottle when people are ready to burn stuff down right now. if Trump wins. I think there's still going to be some destruction. I come from Montreal, where, listen, if the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup, our city rioted. If
So
they
what
lost, our
happens
city
though
rioted.
if Trump wins?
If Trump wins, I expect there to be some significant violence in the street.
And you're absolutely right, because they want power. They want political domination. And so they want fascism, so they're going to do it. The only question is, how bad is it going to be?
Yep.
I don't know how bad it's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if this if it dwarfed the kind of riots that we've seen over the year of 2020, or I guess I should say earlier in the year in 2020. Over the course of the next
Crowder,
couple
I got to
of
say it. I agree with you. You can't have.
I hate it. I
a
don't
gallon of
want that
whiskey.
to be the case.
You can't have a gallon of whiskey on your desk without taking the top off and drinking at least 5 ounces right now. If you don't
I can't do it.
It's a
I can't do it. I'm carrying, Alex. I'm not going to commit a crime. You should know.
Maker's
better.
Mark.
Oh, you're concealed carrying under
Casket.
You're not driving a vehicle, though.
I'm not driving a vehicle.
Maker's Mark
open carrying.
cast strength. And the cast strength is 111.3 proof. With 55.65% alcohol per volume. You see it right there at the bottom. And they do this in small batches.
100 mugs. That's probably 5. That's 5 shots. Okay.
That's probably 5 shots. Yeah. I wish that we had those big ice cubes, so it doesn't dilute over the course of the show. Yeah, I thought we had some, but unfortunately my wife used them for some kind of a project she found on
I had
Etsy,
White Monster.
I beat her without mercy.
There we go.
Earlier.
Oh.
White Monster was good.
You can see there's a little bit in there. Now, keep in mind, Joe Rogan couldn't peer pressure me to drink Gentleman Jack the way you just did for 2 reasons. 1, Gentleman Jack sucks. 2, I understand that you have my best interest at heart.
I want to
feel
get
like
drunk
Joe
with you
Rogan
right
just
now.
wanted to argue with me about pot.
I love you. I love you.
Oh, this guy over here on this stream I like.
How kind of strange it's been that Fox has been so delayed in their projection of a victory for President Trump in Florida, but so quick to call a state like Arizona, and it appears like there's some backtracking.
Well, tonight's the night that American conservatives learn the difference between old Fox and new Fox, and between NewsMax and Fox, in the way they handle these calls. But let me look at an overview. The Fox and the other networks are very reluctant to call states for Trump because they don't want to say those words, Trump is reelected. But it's pretty evident to me at this point that Trump is going to win 301 electoral votes, 3 short of what he won in 16. And if he wins Arizona, add another 11 to that. But Trump is way ahead in Pennsylvania, 10 to 12 points before they stopped counting. He's way ahead in Michigan. He's 5 points ahead in Wisconsin. He's way ahead in Iowa. And those states are probably going to go for Trump.
In fact, Dick, we're going to go ahead and call Iowa for Trump.
Yeah,
right
usually makes Maker's Mark with some White Monster and some ice, but
talking out here, expecting Joe Biden.
I don't like taking shots straight.
Speech here. What do you expect to hear from him tonight?
Let me just say that I expect Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania to go for Trump, but by smaller margins, probably 3 or 4 points in each state. So if over the next week or so you see a closure of if they dig up votes, I don't think it's going to be enough to defeat Trump. I think he'll win handily. I think what Biden's going to do is try to say, I didn't lose. This thing is still in play. There are still lots of votes to be counted. And stay tuned. And his goal will be to prepare the country for litigation and for all kinds of mayhem. But, and I think that's why his allies in the networks and Fox News are not calling these states. Because if they do, they get over 270 for Trump. At that point, they have to put on the screen, Trump gets reelected. And at that point, Biden has the same kind of problem that Gore did in 2000. He has to overcome a network call.
Do you expect to hear from President Trump tonight?
Yeah, of course I do.
What do you expect him to
that I won, that a minority vote came out for me, that women voted for me more than they ever have, and that the Democrats are now going to try to steal this. That's why
I'm dying.
They stopped counting in Philadelphia. It's like the Lyndon Johnson race in the 1940s, where he stopped counting in the valley and counted the rest of the state and figured out how many votes short he was, And then they brought in a wheelbarrow from the Rio Grande Valley with enough Hispanic votes to push him over the top by like 10 votes or something. They called him Landslide Lyndon for his first term in the Senate.
Well, Dick, I haven't heard that story in a long time, and we appreciate your historical analysis on that. That's quite a tale. Great to see you, Dick. Thanks so much, and we'll check in with
Thank you, John.
It's getting late, but we know you're staying up. You're excited like the rest of us.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
also get over to Jack Shore, retired NFL player, entrepreneur, co-chairs of the Black Trump campaign. Jack, great to see you.
Great to see you. I don't have that type of history, but
Yeah.
I can.
Well, you're making history tonight because we've been talking for months about the efforts that you have worked on, the things you have done specifically with the Trump campaign, and you were making your predictions, and I was looking at you, Jack. That's a bold prediction. Of course, nothing's final yet, but we do see, kind of the green shoots of all the work that President Trump and you have done to increase black votes for President Trump. I know you're not surprised.
I'm not surprised, and I got to tell you, man, it's I get emotional just thinking about it. Thinking about all the people, the naysayers, the slander, the attacks that we all got in supporting this president early on. But we knew that his policies were right for America. We knew that his policy resonated with the underserved, black and brown folks across this nation. And to see a state like Florida, where you had minority voters that carried this election. It's really been rewarding. It's not over, but if you look at the different states, places like Wisconsin, you will see a huge uptick in minority voters in Wisconsin, and that will be the difference in Donald Trump winning. When you look at states like Ohio, the numbers are the numbers, and we have doubled the African American vote. I think in some places tripled or quadrupled the typical.
Pennsylvania's for Biden. I don't know how Trump doesn't win Pennsylvania, but here's what I think. The reason why Biden's about to make a statement, because it's his bedtime. He can't get up. So he's going to come out and make a statement so he can go to bed, because he knows they're not going to be able to call this election for another week at the pace it's at. Now, here's what's interesting. Trump's still ahead in Georgia. I don't know what's going on in North Carolina. Guys, give me North Carolina here, the numbers. Don't zoom in.
And by the way, Fox and others have called Florida, right?
Yeah, Florida's Trump. Texas is Trump. We'll wait and see if they call Georgia Trump, but he has a strong lead there. I think it's safe to say. Wisconsin is tight, but it's looking like it's going to go Trump's way. Michigan is looking good for Trump. Again, any other night, they'd already called Trump Pennsylvania and probably declared Trump the winner. Minnesota, Biden has a lead right now. I think it's going to be a lot narrower. Trump, I think, still has an outside chance in Minnesota. The districts that we have no numbers returning are strong red districts. Now, can he make up 200,000 votes? It's going to be very close. But I think Minnesota will be within 100,000 votes by the end of the night. They're flip-flopping on Arizona. We haven't had an update there in a while. Nevada's numbers are still... let me see those numbers, guys, real quick. Yeah, we haven't had an update there in a while. Let me see Nevada. Still early, but... okay, they're not saying results. There are some early results in that have Trump winning. For whatever reason, we're waiting to see what happens in North Carolina. It's so tight. It's a razor's edge. We haven't had an update there in a while. The next update that comes out of North Carolina is going to be the linchpin. Because, again, if Trump wins North Carolina and then can also win Wisconsin and Michigan, which he's ahead in, that's his path to victory. And he can declare victory tonight. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to come out and have Biden make a statement.
There's so much of that that's read already.
It's too, we can't call it. Good night for Biden. And then Trump will probably come out, if they announce North Carolina and Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin for Trump, Trump will come out maybe in an hour and make a victory speech.
So, and make that prediction. What do you think this big Biden announcement?
Look at that shot. Look how subdued they are.
Right, they don't seem happy.
That's not a celebration.
No.
They know. The Biden supporters know they're in trouble right now. This is deja vu all over again, what we saw 4 years ago.
And these articles have been out for months. They call it the Democratic bedwetting. Those are the terms. That was a unnamed Democratic strategist, I believe, in a Politico article that said that we have a propensity for bedwetting here. But they
plus President Obama's campaign.
This is malarkey. I think that's one thing that that Biden got right. This is the malarkey.
Yeah.
I think that this is not a group that looks like they're on the cusp of winning. They know that they're not having the night that they thought they would have.
Either that or they're going back into Philly to try to vote again.
Yeah, I'll tell you something great for America. we referenced it earlier, but it is great for America that what we're not talking about now is accusations of
I'm going to
vote
switch back to
stealing.
the other one. Because they got this guy on the screen.
Let's hear this.
Maybe he's not talking yet.
What the hell is this?
Why is he not even talking?
Like a kook in a freaking mask? I mean, what the hell is this? Like, this is what we've become?
Yeah.
It's like people posing as like Secret Service with a fake Kamala Harris.
It's a lockdown election. And earlier in the day...
So this is the big Biden announcement, is this person.
Earlier in the day, Joe Scarborough said that if Trump came on, they weren't going to put him on. So, you know, but we can have Biden come out.
But talk about absurdist. Like, what is this?
What is it? Yeah, what, like, why is he not even talking? Like, what is this?
Go back to it, please. Just put him on screen. The last thing you'll ever see is this. This is the end of America.
This is the
Like,
end of
what the hell is that?
It's the end of the Biden campaign is what it
He's
is.
wearing a mask. I'm a dirty human. I'm bad.
Who is this
Everyone
guy?
hates me. I'm poisonous.
He's got a cowboy walking around behind him.
Mask. I'm bad. I'm bad. They get the American flags already. Oh, look, we're Americans. Oh, we're nice. You can trust us. I mean, and then this guy has to sit up there in a clown mask. Like, I mean, and we buy into it. We go along with it. We deserve it all.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a ponytail, too.
What matters is the man bun.
Yeah, that's right.
Just, I'm ready for like 1 trillion years. I'm in hell right now, prison. Like, I just sit here with that dude wearing a mask forever. Let's go back to it. Actually, this is my whole future. Go back to it. With mumbling. Listen to the audio. This is hell. He's all trying to square up, look like real. He's like, oh, let me act really real here right now. Okay, this is totally normal.
What is this, though? Like, what is Biden getting ready to announce?
I'm here. And, oh, look, oh, Joe's coming up. Oh my gosh.
Placeholder.
Who was that guy up? Why was he up there all this time then?
Because you notice, like, even Don Lemon wears a mask on TV now. It's like, oh, it's totally real. We're all dead. We're all evil. Look, he's back. Look at these freaking clowns, man. I mean, look at these people. You talk about a cult, David. Thank God every millisecond we are not.
Yeah.
And look,
They're wiping it down.
On TV. They're like babbling about politics in front of everybody. Here, go ahead and turn this up.
The polling was now absolutely correct. Based on polling, it looked like there were all kinds of different paths we could get there. As it turned out, the one true path is the path that they were most focused on. Give this campaign credit.
The one true path? No, we have all these satellite feeds.
Yeah, this is like...
We have like a satellite on the roof. I swear you can watch it all day in my office. I've got it in my office. I can look at Fox, CNN, like 100 channels. They'll be like going, the stuff they say on these tapes is a pro.
Oh yeah, I had a friend that I used to work with back in the '80s, and he used to get.
All right, NewsMax is called Iowa for Trump. That's another 6 electoral votes for Trump.
Let's do it.
It's very promising for Joe Biden, and also in that Senate race.
See that right here?
It's a Lone Ranger.
Call Iowa.
They're like wiping it down all real. Oh, we're all dirty. Oh, let's wipe it all down.
And Fox News has retracted their call for Biden in Arizona. See that one right here?
Mass stuff.
Listen to it.
Breaking news.
May be the thing that
they don't even care. They're on a live satellite feed. They're just talking shit. Delay that. They're talking all this crap. They're like on TV all over. They don't care, man. Because they know no one's going to call them. They can be Russian agents. They can be Chinese agents. They can be globalists. They can do what? They can be pedophiles. No one does anything to them.
Oh man, Trump is so going to win this.
other places have already called. Arizona for Joe Biden, I believe that will go in his column without doubt. And so that's one.
And listen, the woman mic'd up doesn't know she's on air. She's gibbering and doesn't even know she's mic'd up.
And I bet she doesn't know that we're feeding it out either.
They don't care. Because they have no, it's like, well, who cares what we do?
Yeah.
It relates to the state of Minnesota. Now, it has been too early to call there. It remains too early to call in the state of Minnesota, but NBC is now adding the characterization.
Well, that's Rachel Maddow.
Joe Biden leads.
They got a Rachel Maddow feed.
How are they going tomorrow on roughly equal footing in what is still a contest where no one has won?
We're about to find out what Joe Biden is going to say. We see the motorcade pulling up there now to Delaware, to the podium. And it is
boy, what is Joe Biden going to say?
Project this image of strength, project the image of a winner, not only based on what happened tonight.
What
but,
is
he's
Joe
gonna be
Biden
doing
going
that
to
up
say?
against
That's a
the
good
President of the
question.
United States.
Yeah, oh, without a doubt. And you know what? I think he's up past his bedtime right now.
Everybody's saying that he's up past his
He's
bedtime.
not in there. Let's pray, that Joe's okay and everything goes okay tonight. But it's kind of amazing. And you look at the crowd now. You see those crowds when President Trump does his rallies. They're in lines. They're going crazy. They know Joe Biden's coming in right now. They're really, really subdued. I mean, it's just, you don't see the enthusiasm. You just don't see the energy right now.
And well, they never had much energy or enthusiasm for him to
I
begin with.
voted.
And now,
As you can see right here. Wait, it's over here.
You're exactly right.
I voted.
I can only imagine
I
right
voted.
now
Look
what
at that.
Alexandria
You see it?
Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders are saying right now.
Voted for Trump.
You know
4 more years of
Yeah.
You ran too liberal.
Yeah, exactly right. And everybody, it's funny. The press loves to talk about civil wars in the Republican Party, but I'm telling you, there's a huge civil war going on right now, and there's going to be a lot of finger pointing for the Democrats.
Well, we knew that when they were already giving cabinet seats. AOC was already giving cabinet seats away for the presidential, for the Biden administration. All right, we're going to check in now as we wait for Joe Biden with Congressman Louis Gohmert from Texas. Congressman, congratulations on you.
They should probably calm down. I don't think the old man can handle it. We do have some updates, though. It does appear that Biden is going to win Minnesota. I think we can go ahead and declare that. They're saying that he's going to win Arizona. We haven't seen any new returns in Arizona, but they are claiming he's going to win Arizona, which is odd to see that Trump would lose Arizona like that. That is a real strange thing to see there. We still don't have much coming
We'll
out
put
of
some
Nevada,
music from Matt
early
Shern
in the
real
show.
quick.
We have nothing.
Looking good for Trump, guys. So far, it's looking the same as it was last time too. On the Electoral College and the votes so far that's come in. Oh, here we go. Let's see what you got to say.
This is going to go long, but who knew we're going to go into maybe tomorrow morning, maybe even longer. But look, we feel good about where we are. We really do. I'm here to tell you tonight, we believe we're on track to win this election.
Oh, yeah?
We knew because of the unprecedented early vote and the mail-in vote, it was going to take a while. We're going to have to be patient until the hard work of tallying the votes is finished. And it ain't over till every vote is counted. Every ballot is counted. But we're feeling good. We're feeling good about where we are. We believe one of the nets has suggested we've already won Arizona, but we're confident about Arizona. That's a turnaround. We also just called it for Minnesota, and we're still in the game in Georgia, although that's not one we expected. And we're feeling real good about Wisconsin and Michigan.
Sure you are.
And by the way, it's going to take time to count the votes. We're going to win Pennsylvania.
No. No. Not happening.
I've been talking to folks in Philly, Allegheny County, Scranton, and they're really encouraged by the turnout and what they see. Look, you know, we can know the results.
Look, even if
early
Trump
tomorrow
lost
morning,
Pennsylvania,
but it may
kept
take a
every
little
single
longer,
state
as
the
I've said
same
all
that it was
along.
last time,
It's not my place or Donald Trump's place to declare who's won this
Trump
election.
would still win.
That's the decision of the American people.
Already done the
But
math.
I'm optimistic about this outcome. And I want to thank every one of you who came out and voted in this election. And by the way, Chris Coons and the Democrats, congratulations here in Delaware. Pardon? Hey, John, the Gov, yeah, the whole team, man. You've done a great job. I'm grateful to the poll workers, to our volunteers, our canvassers, everyone who participated in this democratic process. And I'm grateful to all my supporters here in Delaware and all across the nation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And folks, you heard me say it
He
before.
looks tired.
Every time I walk out of my grandpa's house up in Scranton, he'd yell, Joey, keep the faith. And my grandma, when she was alive, yelled, no, Joey, spread it. Keep the faith, guys. We're going to win this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your patience is great. Let's walk over here.
It's not what you want. Okay, there's Joe Biden trying to keep the troops inspired. A whole bunch of honking. They do the car rallies. The president does them.
Bedtime for
The
Biden.
people rallies. It's getting a little late for
Bedtime.
Joe Biden.
Bedtime for Biden.
He's getting a little tired. He
Nighty
said
night.
he feels confident about Michigan and Wisconsin. I don't know why. I'm looking at these numbers here in Michigan and Wisconsin.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
seem like
see
he's gonna
the
win,
president performing
honestly.
at about the same pace, or maybe a little better than he did.
I don't see him winning anything like that. Like, he sits here and he acts like he's got some sort of like big plan. Like everything's gonna work out in his advantage. You know, he's got to make sure everybody has that hope. But honestly, the only people that are voting for Biden are those Democratic strongholds that just will not, and they refuse to vote anything other than Democrat. They've been doing the same thing for the past 50, 56, more years. I mean, I say 56 because, DC, that's when they were first able to get their votes in, and they got, their electoral count at 3, which is the lowest of any of states. And, that's why it's 51 that you're looking at instead of 50. Because DC, Washington, D.C. is counted in there. And for 56 years, D.C. has voted Democrat ever since. And, a lot of these other, Democrat strongholds have done the same for the past 50 years. You know, and honestly, if it wasn't that way, if it wasn't so skewed in such a way, in such a margin in which people were going to be completely, you know, going one direction year after year, regardless of who's running, we would definitely see a Trump, you know, landslide, similar to what you saw with Reagan's landslide in, what was it, let me get it right, because I was just referencing this earlier. Yeah, Reagan's run in 1984 versus Mondale, where he got 525 of the electoral votes and 13 went to Mondale, with just Minnesota and DC voting for him. And DC is one of those strongholds. But if you look here, look, you know, these same Democrat strongholds on the coast here and here have been voting the same way since 1992. Like, that's ridiculous. And before these big red wins, you know, there was a lot of Democrat strongholds all throughout the entire nation that just, you know, flip back and forth occasionally. But the fact of the matter is, we've had one big blue wave once, and that was right here, 1964. You know, that's the biggest blue wave we've had in a long, long time. And since then, we've had it pretty even, and it's weird when you think about it. But yeah, honestly. Oh, Trump put out a tweet saying he's going to be making a statement tonight. Oh, did he now? Yeah, he did. Look at that, 3 minutes ago. But yeah, honestly, I just don't see Joe Biden winning this election anytime soon. And I don't see why anybody is voting for this guy. Like, if you've listened to some of the things that he said recently, even some of the things that he said, you know, way back when he was younger and in his prime, so to say, this guy has done nothing for us. He's done nothing good for us, and he's a racist. He truly is a racist. Like, and I realized this, you know, back when they were calling Trump racist, misogynist, you know, Russian collusion, all this other stuff, back before he even ran, when he first threw his hat in the arena for running back in 2016, you start to realize that, like, you know, when you start to peel the onion of all these Democratic candidates, from Joe Biden to Hillary to Kamala, they have a lot of really dirty ties, you know, to these different countries and to these claims that they put on Trump, you know, about being a misogynist and being a racist and everything. You know, Hillary and Biden, in my opinion, from what I've learned about both of their statements in public, from when they first started in office to now, they are both two of the most racist and sexist candidates that the Democrat Party could have ever run. And they are two of the worst candidates that they could have ever run. And yet they decided to go with them. To be honest, Bernie Sanders would have been a much better choice. Bloomberg, where he didn't do too well on stage and debating, he had the money and he had a lot of influence in media, because he even had his own media outlet, you know, and both those people would have been a much better choice and a much better competitor to Trump. But for some reason, Biden was able to get a lot of support, you know, a lot of money, you know, over 700 million. Well, that's weird. They're going through different things, and like people delete their tweets all the time. But anyway, yeah, like you just can't vote for Biden. And when you do vote for Biden, then you start to realize like it's, and what I was talking about with these Democrat strongholds being what they are. You just can't think about it like this. Like they definitely have to have some sort of like voting scandal going on. Even Biden said that in one of his videos. He was talking to people. He was like, "Yeah, oh my gosh, you did this for Obama back then, and we've created the most inclusive voting fraud organization ever of all time." Like, he said that. It's video. You can look that up. You know, either way, let's go back to Alex Jones and see what they're talking about over there.
Just taking a big fat dump on us tonight.
James Carville said, we're going to know by 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And I think he said that at a point where they thought they were going to do a lot better than they did tonight. I think that because
10 tonight or 10 tomorrow?
10 tomorrow night. Yeah, 10, not tonight, but tomorrow night. And so I think that they didn't do anywhere nearly as well as they thought that they would do. So I think what's going to happen is I think you're going to see them harvesting ballots for the next 2 or 3 days. And that's going to be a legal fight, like President Trump.
They're going to try to like harvest a bunch of ballots and then make up a bunch of ballots to come up with a number to match what Trump gets to when he wins. That's why they don't want to call these states.
When these ballots came in and so forth. But they're going to be keeping adding on to this for a couple more days, and so that's why we can't really say what's going to happen with this, because we've now, and again, it goes back to the lockdown. The lockdown trashed the economy, trashed 100,000 small businesses, and trashed this election. And, so now we have, chaos and a dumpster fire, and it's going to go for several more days.
Wow. And I mean, just think about the Project Veritas revelations in Minneapolis, in San Antonio. Just the sheer overwhelming amount of fraud that has been caught on tape. Have any of those people been arrested? Have any of them been punished? I mean, Ilhan Omar, it was a landslide today. She won, 98% or whatever it was. It's absurd. This is blatant fraud. This is blatant electioneering.
It's a total validation of.
That's exactly what I was saying. Like, straight up, it's all fraud. It's all jokes.
So maybe it comes out
like,
that it looks like Joe Biden.
These Democrats do not run their districts legit. They really don't, and they never wanted to.
People, and maybe we can try the election again. I don't know how this works, but what we're seeing now is 100% the result of blatant fraud. We've seen it on tape. We've seen it on camera. We've seen the reports from Patrick Howley at National File and so many others. And as far as I can tell, we're the only ones reporting this. Like, the alternative media is the only.
Well, that's why they want us off air, because we're here covering it. We're so thankful to us for spreading the word right now.
They hedged their bets earlier. They were talking about, well, here's what you should watch. You might see a big red wave, because
we
that's
will
not
see
going
a big
to
red
include the ballots that are in the mail. So the media has already put
remember, that was
in
the whole
their,
Bloomberg group.
Yeah, they already put in their excuse or alibi for, oh, well, you thought that Trump won, but that's because we haven't counted all the votes that are in the mail. And that really is their plan at this point. I mean, I do think this thing's going to go on for 3 days.
So how is it going for them?
All right, let's go back over to
NewsMax. Not as well as they
NewsMax.
thought it would. I mean, their best
I agree with you. When you quantify.
The coalition beneath President Trump's wins 4 years ago. You look at a place like Wisconsin. If obviously exit polls are not perfect, but you're looking at that margin's gone from 64. We're looking at 54% in Wisconsin. You're looking at 57% of non-white or white non-college educated individuals. So where do you make up that difference? Now you start talking about 36% of Hispanic voters in Ohio in exit polling, 33%. I mean, 41%. 41% of Hispanic voters in exit polling saying they voted for President Trump in Michigan. I mean, when you start looking at numbers like that, you have basically taken a scalpel or even a bulldozer to the face of American politics. And if we don't start having that conversation as a party, as the GOP, to understand what just happened, right? That President Trump passed the First Step Act, and that these black and brown voters across this nation gave President Trump a second chance
He
to get the
loves
job done.
To
I
change
think
the
that's what we have to be
dynamics. I
talking
mean,
about.
just Josh Hawley here, the senator, saying we are a working class party now. That's the future. That's how the president is changing the coalition of voters for the Republican Party. It's really interesting to see.
The president's put out another tweet so far. He says, we're up big, but they're trying to steal the election. We'll never let them do it. Votes cannot be cast after the polls are closed. I think the president's got to be careful on this.
They're blocking the president's
statements.
statements.
Joe's absolutely right. There's a lot of good news for the president coming in, especially from Wisconsin and Michigan. I think to start to jump ahead this early.
Like the president is literally posting tweets and they're getting deleted off
Got a lot of good news coming in from these other states before they start changing the narrative. Ride with the tide right now. Talk about the good news that's happening.
Yeah. Here's a scenario here for the Biden campaign. We just talked about how Trump can win. Here is Biden's campaign win scenario. Pennsylvania lose or decide later. Biden would need to win Arizona, which looks like he will. Nevada, Michigan, which is not looking great. Minnesota, which he'll take. Wisconsin, not looking great.
The tweet that
Nebraska,
they're
too, I haven't paid enough attention to. Maine,
talking
no
about that is
and
being
that's
blocked,
Maine, too.
or I'm
Maine,
talking
too.
about that's
Oh,
being
that-
blocked.
is that
This
Maine,
one
too?
here.
Just like
one congressional district.
We are up big,
Yeah.
but they are
So
trying to
but
steal the
you can pick that
election.
part, mark
We will
out,
never
release
let them do it. Votes
Well,
cannot
I mean,
be
the
cast
weak
after the
links
polls
there
are
for
closed.
that would be
And
Wisconsin
you literally have to
and-
click
and
through it
Michigan.
just to be able to see it as you
We
see.
don't know about Arizona and the
Yeah,
individual.
like, click.
Maybe Nevada too.
Oh, it's gone
We don't know
again.
about those
Click.
individual
Like,
districts, but you know,
why-
now we're
why are
back
they doing
to, potentially
Doesn't make any
flipping the
sense.
script here. We've gone weeks, months, really, with the press saying this is all about can the president find a path. Now, if the president wins one of these big states, if the president wins Pennsylvania, if he wins Michigan, if he wins Wisconsin, now we're back to saying, does Joe Biden have a path? Does Joe Biden have the ability to run the table on every state he needs to win to stop
No.
the president from getting to 270? We're not quite there yet, but we're on the precipice of that potentially.
And North Carolina.
I just don't understand how
we
how
gotta
you
say here real quick.
you
I just
can
wanna
cast
give
a
it-
vote
it's
for Biden.
95% reported here.
Like,
and you've got the president.
listen to
up
when the
by,
guy
about
speaks.
80,000
He can
votes.
barely even
North
keep
Carolina
his
doesn't call it,
his
that's a
sentences
scary.
together.
Georgia
He always
is
loses his
nerve-wracking,
track
too.
of thought.
That's a scarier.
Yeah, but look, if the president ends
He
up losing
lies
Georgia
almost
before,
every
again,
single
my
time he
prediction is
talks.
no replacement. Now there is a replacement potential.
When he was on the debate stage,
If
he was
won-
referring
if
to
he won-
conspiracy
if he won
theories
Pennsylvania,
against the
Wisconsin,
president
replaces Georgia,
and
he could still win.
disproven
I know that North Carolina still has
news
some, but
reports
they
that were
literally are putting every
retracted.
precinct
You know,
is in.
like,
The president
dude,
does have
you're so
a
behind the
point and change
times.
lead right now.
And,
It is roughly
half the time, whenever something bad
82,
came out about Trump
83,000
up until the
votes right
election,
now.
they came
But-
out
but
with
there
a
is, you know,
freaking
obviously there's a
campaign
lot
ad
of
for
mail
Biden
that's still out there.
that
But
had
the
that
president's in a good
something
place
about
when it comes
that
to
news
The
story that
interesting
just came
thing that's
out,
really
you know,
interesting
in
to
it.
me
It's
about
just like
this
you've
is
got to
you
be
have,
kidding me. There's so much
just
red.
shy of a point that Joe
There is so
Rogan,
much
the
red.
libertarian took.
Oh my
It's gonna be
gosh.
crucial to say it like that.
Yeah.
Look
All
at
right,
that.
It is 1 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast. We're going to reset our special election.
Yeah, you guys take your break, but this is keep going.
Add it with
Look
this
at all
one.
that
Thanks for coming
red.
to town tonight. Yeah, exactly. But
No, for real.
Justice
Any elite.
Where did all it go? Yeah, whatever. Put it back to life.
Warner is
I'll
not
find
going
it
to win
over
there. That's
here.
just not going to happen. But you heard Roger Stone say that Warner was down as well. So that you know that would be consistent, but they don't want to call that, right?
Oh my gosh,
They
yeah.
just keep it going.
That's right. I couldn't hear you guys were
Like,
talking over.
and
each
Trump's
other.
getting more and more. More and more.
Okay, I think you
Look
said
at
we're
that.
ready.
They're ready. Yeah.
Like,
Okay, let's play a couple of these clips. We're gonna be right back.
the Democrat strongholds are already called. You know, right? And if we look here, Arizona and Utah, Arizona may be going towards Biden right now, but pretty sure it's going to flip back over anyway.
I would say that globalization is inevitable unless someone really moves in to stop it.
We have all agreed to pursue the Sustainable Development Goals to 2030. The fourth industrial revolution, particularly digital technology, has fundamentally changed the global economic landscape. Globalization is an inevitable and irreversible trend.
是全球化这个势头。
But the trend of globalization is irreversible.
也在不断的完善。
I
We
think
should not
the rules
avoid
are
challenges
whatever.
brought by the economic globalization. Instead, we should look directly at the gap of wealth and of development.
Well, the foundation can't
Bill Gates.
achieve ambitious goals in global health without deep partnerships with the rich countries that provide most of the aid.
Everything that is broken today can be fixed, and every failure can be turned into a truly great success. We must replace the present policy of globalism, which have just taken so many jobs out of our communities and so much wealth out of our country, and replace it with a new policy of Americanism.
Yes.
America first. Remember that.
Now the world is awakening to globalism, and the forces of globalism are striking back in incredibly vicious ways.
All of your children get raped and killed! You're disgrace to society!
And then there's the 79 days of hell that I've been talking about that start the day of the election. The Democrats have openly said, first in internal statements, then in white papers, then in war-gamed operations, then in Democrat think tank statements, then in the New York Times 3 months ago, that they are going to contest, they know Trump's going to win, and that they're going to have Western states split off, tank the dollar in the stock market, have race riots nationwide as the cover, and try to drive President Trump from office. The big corporations, the banks, Hollywood, the Chi-Coms, the Democrats, all of these systems, along with radical Islam and communist China, are allied against us right now. We told you when they were in the secret phases that this was happening, but now they've prepared themselves, they've prepared the public. That's why they flooded us with the 80 million ballots. A lot of people got 3 or 4 ballots, dead cats, dead dogs, dead people got them. So that even if Trump is winning by 3-4 points in battleground states, and
speaking about that, my mom ended up getting 4 different ballots. 4.
All of those went Democrat. They're going to say we don't care. They're all
2 in her maiden name and 2 in her new married
he may
name.
never be able to get to that number because
From 2 different addresses.
To give him
or
that
4,
clear
3.
victory.
I don't know, but it's like she got 4 of them. Like, are you kidding me? Why?
Is to stand up like a man and accept
She's right at the other 3.
of an election of the American people. For him to make these kinds of statements shows his lack of patriotism.
I feel very confident that Joe Biden will be elected president on Tuesday. Whatever the end count is, but on the election that occurs on Tuesday, he will be elected. On January 20th, he will be inaugurated president of the United States.
No.
Now notice, that's not a slip. That's what she's been saying for months, that it doesn't matter what the election says, we're not going to accept it, and then we're going to have states secede, and then we will seat him geographically from another location, and that geography doesn't matter, the White House doesn't matter, it matters who they say the president is.
Voting for Donald Trump because of you.
I'm talking to you, liberals. You're the ones doing everything you can to destroy our country.
You're the ones who want to destroy our culture, our history, and our heritage. You tear down our statues, you destroy our monuments, and you desecrate our heroes.
You encourage and participate in the rioting and the looting and destruction of our cities.
You call the protests peaceful, and then turn around and release the violent criminals back onto the streets.
All charges dropped. What's wrong with you?
All this while defunding our police.
You want wide open borders and sanctuary cities for illegal migrants. What is it about illegal that you don't understand?
You say I grew up with white privilege, but you don't know anything about me, where I've been, the things I've seen. You don't know my history.
You call me a white supremacist.
You called me an Uncle Tom.
I'm a Nazi? Seriously? Get out of here.
You refuse to accept the truth. You wouldn't know the truth if it hit you in the face.
But it's worse than that. You censor the truth from getting out. You ridicule the people that speak the truth. Why do you have to be like this?
You're the gullible sheep who trust the fake news mockingbird media.
You think Jeffrey Epstein really did kill himself.
You've infiltrated our universities and academia to brainwash our youth into thinking America is a racist country and that socialism is the answer. I don't think so.
When I try to talk to you, you don't listen. When I want to have a conversation, you call me names or block me out. How is that going to help anything?
I don't get it. You're embarrassed to call yourself an American. We are proud of our country and our heritage and our culture. Like it or not, we are going to make America great again. Again.
Because it's you.
I agree with every single thing said in that. Oh.
Make America great again. Make America great again. I'm going to add another again.
I was watching
This way I
when
can
he
send
did
you all an
this.
extra hat. It all goes to the campaign.
Dissonance is a major issue.
I'm waiting to see that
It can
again.
be very stressful dealing with facts you refuse to accept. If you have a family member suffering from this degenerative mental condition, buy them a bottle of Ultimate Fish Oil from InfoWarsStore.com.
good.
Study.
You lost me. I'll go over to where they're doing a
You know
map.
what's an interesting storyline? Imagine a race where the president needs Michigan to win, and a black Republican named John James pulls him over the edge in Michigan, saves the day. Joe, talk about that storyline, what that would mean for the Republican Party. And you have, all of a sudden, you have a star in John James.
Well, look, you have a star, John James.
Yeah,
already.
well, I mean, John James already been a star. I think, again, you have to go back to the fact Latinos for Trump, black voices for Trump, the amount of work that was done. They were mocked practically by every person in the media. The running joke became that, it wasn't black outreach, it was black insults. And I think the reality is Democrats got caught daydreaming. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And Joe Biden basically went out and told all black people, if you support Donald Trump, you ain't black. And I think America came back with a resounding, you ain't Scranton. Because apparently he couldn't carry Scranton, and he certainly doesn't look like he's carrying America right now, based on these numbers, if they hold.
Such an unfortunate.
I will say this. I've been doing this a long time. What Joe said is spot on. You got Joe, Jack Brewer, Paris Denard, Bruce Lavelle, all of these folks that went out there and said, hey, we're taking this message to these cities. Everyone sort of went, aha, in the mainstream media, right? We've heard this before. I've never seen an organized effort like I did with Black Voices for Trump, Katrina Pearson, so many of these other folks that really went down and engaged in a way that A, no campaign, and B, the Republican Party hasn't done before. And I think this is going to be one of those lessons after this election that shows, hey, look what happens when you actually engage in these communities. When you show up and stop talking about it, this is what can happen.
The president's his own worst enemy going around talking about how he's best president for black Americans since Lincoln. He doesn't need to say that. But the press covers alleged voter suppression. They cover the mocking the president for Lincoln.
Right.
What they don't cover is, I say again, school choice, criminal justice reform, funding of historically black universities and colleges. These are all things that are
think
real.
Americans are stupid.
They're all real.
They're not. And they think if they ignore a story, it doesn't actually happen. It's a great point. We want to go right now to Dick Morris, a great political strategist. You were ready to call this beast at 8 o'clock tonight for President Trump. I bet you're feeling pretty good right now, Dick.
Yeah, well, I am if they would finally count the votes, and they'll come out the way I said. What's going on now is a head fake by the Biden Democratic Party. They're trying to establish the idea that Biden won, or at least it's a completely tight race. Nobody could possibly tell who won. So that when they then litigate it and they are trying to throw out votes or trying to get votes in that shouldn't get in, it just looks like they're reaffirming what everybody knows, which is that Biden did very well. The fact of the matter is Biden fell apart. The only state that he seems to have recovered somewhat in is Arizona, and we don't know about that. But I just did the stats, it's incredible. He's 300,000 votes behind in Michigan, 120,000 in Wisconsin, and 750,000 in Pennsylvania. Wow. And he has to win 2 of those 3 states to be elected president. So obviously he's losing. And the headline should be Donald Trump is winning. But that doesn't, if the lawsuit to go ahead, with equality. It permits, it means that people will think that Trump is trying to overturn the election, and it's to create that perception. That's why the networks and Fox have not called this race in these states, because they want to create the impression that there is no winner of this race, so that Biden is able to litigate till his heart's content.
Yeah. Great
Thinking
stuff.
about
Dick
that, I
Morse.
think that the campaign
Thank
wanted
you. Let's
the
come back
Biden
to just for
campaign
1
wanted
second.
Trump to be the issue, and Trump didn't hit all Biden being the issue. So they were both actually doing the same thing, working on the same strategy. I think, you know, that some of the Biden people tonight may be thinking maybe we should have cut it a little bit more and worked a little harder and not been so retiring throughout the course of the campaign.
I'll keep my eye on this one, but I'll switch it over to this one.
The president's been talking about it on the campaign trail for a long time. So you now have a bad mix of the president being rhetorically, openly suspicious about Philadelphia, and now the city of Philadelphia
Yeah,
doing
three-
something that
three things
that
I'm
I know
watching now.
no other jurisdiction in the country did tonight.
I'm looking at Philadelphia County right here, and it says about half of it's
You
reported.
know, I wonder if I could
and
do
Biden has
something like
160,000 vote lead. So let's double that. That gives Biden another 160,000 votes. The president's up by 700,000. That
I don't
doesn't
know.
do it.
I do not know the president as well as Sean does, but I guarantee you that if the president has not declared the winner of Pennsylvania, he will never accept that there wasn't cheating by the mayor. Never will accept it.
What do you think, Sean? That's a big statement.
I think there's some merit to what Mark is saying. But I think, look, I don't know how you can just randomly stop counting the votes without an explanation and not think that there's going to be a problem. This is, again, where, you know, the media doesn't seem to think that anyone thinks that's a problem. That in the middle of an election night, you stop counting votes in one of the biggest cities of the biggest swing state, and no one sort of.
Am I right? There's nothing like maybe Chicago would be considered like.
But I'm looking at this, guys. You're not gonna. I don't see him.
I'm watching
getting there.
three
I'm
different
looking at
things
all of
right
these
now.
big counties and how much Joe Biden's ahead by.
Well, that's why they're
you
gonna
put
do
it
the math,
together.
Rob.
It's like I can't see them getting another 300,000-400,000 at the most, and they need 7.
How many? In the minds of the president's
Yeah.
supporters, the dialogue will go like this: how many votes did
that
Joe
background?
Biden eventually get out of Philadelphia? Answer:
Oh, no.
how many did he need?
Yeah.
That's the dialogue, and it's going to be a mess.
I mean, he can
It's gonna be a mess.
potentially get another 250,000 out of
No,
Philadelphia
hold on.
County, and then a couple other counties are going to give him another maybe 100,000, and then that's it. Everything else is red.
So
And
what's
he doesn't get there, in my estimation. I'm
I have
no
no
expert,
idea what
but
that
he
is.
uses the same math I do.
Again,
What's the total vote right now in Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania was what, 4.6 million? Let me get back here. Hang on. So
No, how
4.6 million total votes reported. Trump's up 56
Okay,
to
so
42%.
last time you had about 5.8 million cast
Oh, I see
in
what it is.
Pennsylvania
Part of
among the
this
two major
video.
candidates, and then obviously another 200,000. So, I mean, you're in the ballpark. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the.
I guarantee you the president's super happy about how the night's gone. I also guarantee you he is super annoyed at the mayor, but also at the press. The lack of projections.
Now you can see everything I'm watching, guys,
He's a country music star.
without me having to switch
It doesn't matter what the
screens.
final results are tonight. One thing is extremely clear. Says Travis, Fox News can no longer claim to be fair and balanced network they once were. There are a lot of bias hacks there now, and a ton of folks are noticing. It's now NewsMax for me for election results. Travis tricked.
Thanks to all y'all.
I said that earlier. Like, NewsMax has got the good stuff
There's
going
a lot, I
on.
mean, there's a lot of animosity towards Fox tonight. People are wondering what's going on over there. Why they're
All right, so
why
now
are
I
they
can
so
just
quick to
go
call
and
Arizona for Joe
switch
Biden?
between
And they
which
sat
one I'm
on
going to
Ohio.
listen
They
to.
sat on Florida.
Well, I think, look, I think when you go down
Like,
and look at what Newsmax.
Bing and boom. This is Alex Jones going to vote.
Need you to sign here. I accept.
Thank you. I'm glad folks. I'm glad folks bucked the system because they were making you wear masks and go inside. But because people bucked it, now they do this outside. And notice we have to sign for this. We have to do this because Texas is trying to block the fraud that in at least 16 Democrat states, they just give driver's license to illegal aliens. Lines of them around the blocks you saw in New York earlier this year. And then they're allowed to go vote. this live.
It was funny.
24-hour coverage at electionnight.news. That's the new URL because they blocked band.video on all the big platforms, starting with Twitter. And then they blocked 2020electioncenter.com. We've had the last few months, but not before you spread it. And we were getting an extra 5-10 million views a day spreading the word because of you. Two InfoWars best-selling products are now back in stock.
Oh my gosh.
BioTree.
What's going on this one?
Anyway, but one of the things John Robertson's chief is trying to do.
They're watching Fox on there.
Suspect he's going to need Nevada.
That's what's the audio on that one. They're watching Fox.
Pennsylvania and the
Chris
situation there. They've stopped counting votes.
Chris Wallace.
The president has a nice.
Ugh, the guy. I don't like that guy anymore.
Votes or so.
I don't have that first debate.
Well, that's a very interesting scenario because I don't understand how, one, you can allow ballots to still come in after Election Day that aren't postmarked. Here in Nevada, they at least have to be postmarked, and they have up to a week to be counted and tabulated. I don't see how Pennsylvania can get away with something like that. That seems criminal to me.
It is.
It seems almost like, why even have a deadline at all? And then the fact that their poll watchers and ballot counters went home, that's absurd.
It is absurd. It begs a lot of questions about did they just get. I mean, who makes that call? I have no idea. Amy, great to talk to you. Thank you so much. We're going to come back out here just for a second. Mark, she said that they don't have to be postmarked in Pennsylvania. Is that accurate? That they can be counted even if they're not postmarked Election Day or before?
Yeah, it's a discretionary thing. And the Supreme Court still is out there looming. One of the things that happened in Pennsylvania was the Supreme Court twice took a pass on addressing the question of what happens to ballots that come in after Election Day. And the state election administrator told all the counties, anything that comes out in after Election Day, we're going to count it, but we're going to segregate it.
Yeah.
And this is now one area where there will be litigation, even though Jen Ellis did not mention it. The president's team is going to go back to the Supreme Court. And remember, it's not the same Supreme Court that ruled the two previous times declined to hear the case. It's now a Supreme Court that has Justice Barrett on it, and that could end up deciding the election, even if it's not done in any nefarious way. Her judgment may be that that's not right. And just to be clear, the principle is not about whether ballots should count or not. It's about who makes the decision. Is it election administrators or is it the state legislature?
Yeah, and I don't think the president's going to need much help. I mean, I'm looking at these numbers, Tom. We were just nerding it up, looking at all the numbers together during the break. What do you see?
Yeah, look, I agree with Mark. This is where you're going to start to see the blood sport of the legal challenges start to take place, because it's not just whether it's the legislature or it's an election official in the state of Pennsylvania. It's also activist courts. You've got activist courts who have changed the rules here sort of midstream, and so you're starting to see the beginnings of what could be a protracted legal battle, not only in the city of Philadelphia, but also with respect to these ballots that are not postmarked, because ordinarily everything needs to be postmarked, and you also have to have signature requirements.
Well, not necessarily. It's up to each state to set its own rules, but the Constitution is clear. The establishment of these rules is left up to the state legislatures, not the state courts, not administrators. And that position, I believe, if it does get taken up by the court, the president will win that case.
Interesting. Let's talk just for a second. Let's talk about Michigan, because there's more than one really, really important, interesting state right now. Michigan is another one. The president could steal.
Yeah, Michigan, the president is doing much better than I thought that he would end up doing in some of these suburban Detroit counties. And you win these states in the suburbs. The Republicans don't win in the cities; they win in the suburbs. And we had been hearing for weeks that the president was going to get crushed in the suburbs. And if you look in the suburbs of Lansing, the president right now in two of those counties, Clinton County and Eaton County, he's doing better. He's pretty even. In another outside of Detroit. He's doing well in 2 or 3 of those counties. I'd also like to point out in Wisconsin, the president is winning the suburbs of Milwaukee. And this is really, really important, especially after the riots in Kenosha, after everything that we have seen, to win suburban Milwaukee and to do better than expected in a couple of the counties outside
this is
of
the
Madison.
weird stuff that Alex
really
Jones
bodes
could
well
do.
for the president to be able to pick up Wisconsin again.
And we don't know why those people voted the way they did, but I can tell you
This is actually what's happening.
Imagine just this in your mind for 4 years, and this is what we face if they're allowed to get out to pull this out.
And you notice they haven't pulled Michigan or North Carolina. We're still making ballots there too.
Yeah, we've noticed that.
Everywhere. Everybody gets a ballot. You get a ballot. You, but not you. You guys are.
I know there are weapons in this studio somewhere. I need a melee
Plenty of weapons
at hand.
No ballot for you.
Wow.
You get the ballot. You get one. Oh, results are looking good, are they?
This is it. This is what we deal with.
This is it.
This is the Democrat Party, ladies and gentlemen.
This is our life from now on.
This is ridiculous. This is what it is. I'm gonna roll a cigarette.
Are you proud of yourself?
I'm very proud. We're gonna make this country better than anyone.
This is who will dominate us. This is who will dominate us. If Biden wins, this is who will dominate us. This right here.
This, yeah. This metaphysically, this is the soul of the Democrats here haunting us.
Now, and they're censoring Trump. I see everyone on Twitter, they're like stunned. They're censoring the president. Oh my gosh, really? Who saw that coming?
See, this I just saw that and I was like, I have to mute it and see what the heck's going on.
You know, that's actually the size they make the Biden-Harris shirts in. That's the normal size. That's what they expect.
Where's your mask, Democrat?
Somebody just shoot me or shoot that. Yeah, what is your identity? Are you male or female?
Well, sometimes I'm a boy, sometimes I'm a girl, it doesn't matter.
How can you even vote?
Love is love.
There used to be a sword. It was like a short sword. It was around here, I swear.
Just wait. Everybody gets to go to sleep, and when you wake up, all the votes will be counted.
Oh my gosh.
And then Biden will come out and the winner. And then we got Dr. Biden, like Diet Coke or something. We have President Kamala. She's gonna step in, and she's gonna make sure everybody goes to jail.
Good Lord.
Why does Alex Jones do this crap?
Calling the U.S. Marshal.
With security.
Where's your big Trump? Is he gonna
Security.
speak? Where's Trump at? I don't
Security.
see anywhere. Did he get censored?
Where is Trump?
Has he been censored?
Oh my gosh. No, yes, Trump has been censored.
Literally, metaphysically, this is what we're dealing with. Literally.
I need to call a nanny 911.
No. Keep this PG.
See, but this is it. This is actually the metaphysical thing too. See, because that's the Democrats. They're mentally ill babies we can't physically assault.
Look, so wait a second. A second ago, Biden's points was at 223. Now they're at 224. They got 1 point.
Yeah, he's gonna need to brew up about 1 million votes.
That seems weird. There is not a single state that is one electoral college vote unless it's split.
With Joe Biden. By the way, folks,
There's a split state somewhere. But either way,
very soon. And,
you can see like all these other numbers just keep boosting Trump up higher and higher and higher. Biden already won all the states that he's going to win.
Yeah. I'll use this as my pointer here. No, I'm just kidding.
Arizona's going to flip back.
That would actually be something. So I think
And
that this is what we're
Nevada.
in store for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Based off of
I don't
what
know.
they already wrote into law, essentially, which is not actually into law. They just make their own dictate. I think they're going to have to declare Wisconsin for Trump tonight, but they may want to hold that back. But it won't matter, because what they want to do is they want to hold over Georgia, they want to hold over North Carolina, they want to hold over Pennsylvania, and they want to hold over Michigan. And they've already said, at least in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, they've already said that they will not have the total votes until November 6th.
Bullshit.
So if you look at the Electoral College, oh, how convenient. If we happen to hold over and everything goes as it looks right here, and Biden wins Nevada and Arizona, and Trump wins Wisconsin, and we're sitting here waiting for Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan till November 6th to count the mail-in ballots. Oh, how perfectly! They're both sitting there. Neither party has 270 to win, and we're waiting for mail-in ballots. Oh, I'm sure that's not, suspicious at all. Oh, I have no reason to be afraid of mail-in ballots magically appearing overnight.
No, they need to be called tonight.
To begin with.
Tomorrow morning, whatever.
I think that's what they're saying.
This morning.
Now, we'll see what Trump
They need to be
says
called.
in a rebuttal of that.
We can't
So
have
Trump
this
is up
crap.
300,000 in Michigan. It's 150,000 in Wisconsin. I think they'll declare Wisconsin for Trump tonight. I think they're going to hold over Michigan. They're going to hold over Pennsylvania. They already announced.
They shouldn't hold over Michigan.
Well, they're already holding over North Carolina. They haven't given us an update over there in hours. So they're obviously going to hold over that, or they're just going to wait.
It's dumb that they're going to hold over these
to
things.
announce. And then they're going to hold over Georgia as well, where Trump is up 300,000. And it'll be so perfect. And so let's say Biden wins Nevada, where he's trailing Trump right now, but those are early turn-ins. We don't have Las Vegas. So, but let's say Biden wins Arizona. Let's say Biden wins Nevada. You're going to have a situation where Biden's at 244 in the House. And if they hold over Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, Trump will be at 227. Biden will be at 244. And they'll say, see, Biden's the real winner, even though Trump is leading by over 1 million votes combined in Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. But that's their plan. I think they're going to hold over these 4 states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. They may, just to kind of, stop some of the controversy, they may announce one of these states for Trump tonight, Michigan or Georgia, just to kind of be like, okay, we're not totally stealing it from you. But I think this is their plan. They're going to hold over at least 3 of these 4 states, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, where Trump is winning. Any other election night, they've already declared him the winner, but not tonight. The Democrats are in for the big steal. So I think
They would have all been called already.
They're going to hold these states over. They know that if they declared these for Trump, he wins tonight. They don't want to have that. So they're just going to delay this thing, a bunch of mail-in ballots right now. They're drumming them up, as you said, drumming up the mail-in ballots. So Trump really should be the victor tonight.
Yes.
294 in the Electoral College, and that's in a rigged election. But considering they're not going to give him Georgia, they're not going to give him North Carolina, they're not going to give him Pennsylvania, maybe they'll give him Michigan. I think they'll have to give him Wisconsin. But Harrison,
where's Trump's statement?
We'll see what Trump has to say about this. I think he's well aware of it. They're now censoring the president on Twitter, just as we said they would, just as they said they would. And so we're just all sitting here waiting. Oh, hey, Trump won. Well, hold on a second. We're just going to wait, actually. We're just going to wait. I mean, can you imagine? This is like you're playing in the Super Bowl, and you win the game in the 4th quarter by 2 touchdowns, and then the league and the commissioner and the refs are like, head to the locker room. Head to the locker room.
Yeah, I know.
And
And it's honestly funny. Like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, North Carolina, they're all going to go for Trump just like they did last time.
Yeah,
Like Trump already won.
To put an even finer point on it,
Like,
it's
you look at this map here, and you can already see,
and
like,
they were like, okay, we'll get back to you tomorrow. It's like,
everything's
well,
going the same way.
so,
Even if Arizona flips over, Trump still won.
The Trump
So,
campaign was extremely angry.
There's no reason to even
Fox News
worry
for
about it.
calling Arizona so early.
They should just
Basically,
call it
no other
already.
network,
And they
didn't
already
do
showed
that, but
Biden got
Fox
1
News,
point.
For some reason, called
Yeah,
Arizona
1 little
super
electoral
early, and we're
point. So
seeing
like
the,
Maine probably already
Biden
split
lead in Arizona just
with a
absolutely tanked
3-1
as
split,
more
but
and more
this time
votes,
for
come
Trump.
in. And of course,
Either way,
we talk about it all the time.
or
here
one
on
of these,
InfoWars, but,
I don't know.
the
Either way, he got 1 little
hyper-important,
point.
super important,
So it's
and
like,
obviously more important
just
now
call
than
it for
ever
Biden
before,
already,
but
or
at the
sorry,
same time,
call it for Trump
stuff
already because it's
like
done.
This Monica Worrell will be
It's
the next
done. Like, there's no
prosecutor
reason
of
to make us
Orlando,
wait any
and
longer.
Jose
Any
Garza
other
will be the
year,
next
any other
DA
election year,
of
we would have
Austin.
already had
These
this
2
done.
progressive wins were expected tonight, but took tough wins in the primary. So, these are people that, as on Twitter, Teddy Roosevelt points out.
This is why I have multiple different
Garza
things on
expressed
because,
support
like,
for fully ending cash bail.
I got this one on over here on
A
NewsMax.
win is a win.
And this one here is the one that's actually Trump when he's going to be speaking. But right now they're in a hall just watching Fox News.
Even if he gets Michigan and Wisconsin, he doesn't need Pennsylvania.
The majority of them already have like 70 plus to 90 plus of the precinct already in. Like in Pennsylvania, they're waiting on Philadelphia because for some reason they're having a problem counting, which is bullshit. They wouldn't let poll counters come into the state the thing early on anyway.
For a few seconds
Yeah.
up on stage.
Like straight up, like the Dems were voting early anyway, so any of these late votes are already going for Trump. So they're trying to just like, oh, we're going to stop counting now, and we're going to have all these like later ballots come in later that were all magically just appear that are all for Biden. Like, no, get out of here. You're only putting them in now because you're going to know how many you need to win.
Somehow
it's all burning down around you. I wanted to ask you real quick, Miranda, if I could, if you could still hear me.
Besides, with Biden saying that he's going to end fracking,
I think we're going to see if
no way Michigan, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania goes there because all Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, they're all like oil states. That's what people don't. They're fracking shale oil states. They're all going to Trump.
Safe, which is fabulous. But look,
Georgia's already
and I think
like showing the 60-70% Trump victory. And same with North Carolina. That's why they stopped counting. They're like, oh no, Trump's going to win. We can't have this.
Donald Trump and being very slow on, say, Florida and Ohio may be to do with the fact that they've had security briefings saying be ultra cautious, ultra responsible, because we don't want to cause riots. Because the sore losers are the Democrat supporters. It's not Republican supporters or Trump supporters that are going to be rioting.
Yeah, no, you're right. My cousin's been running around in D.C. He's a college kid, bored, went down to Black Lives Matter Plaza. Like you said, they're tearing it up. New York might be quiet, but D.C.
Yeah, you can't even get any live streams of the riots going on in D.C. I had a couple of the videos I pulled up on Twitter earlier.
Yeah, can I just comment on that for a second? Times Square tonight, for example, here in New
But they
York
were
City,
only
was all boarded
10,
up.
12 seconds long.
What does this say about where we are as a country? That we are boarding up our cities, whether it's New York or parts of Washington, D.C., because of rioting that is expected. And there were people showing up there. You call it Black Lives Matter Square, right? It's Lafayette Park to many Americans. And
Yeah, it's Lafayette Park. I don't know why they're calling it Black Lives Matter Square. And they got that shit painted on the fucking street. That's ridiculous. That mayor, such a panderer. All those Democrats are panderers.
To the White House. The hotels closed down. Lots and lots of people out of work. This is a travesty that this has happened to our country. And the president is exactly right when he talks about New York City and how disgraceful it is, how things have shut down.
Real quick, I just want to tell you guys, Joe Biden's campaign has called a lid for the evening. We're not going to be hearing from him. So
yep, because he went to sleep. Everyone's calling him. It was like, oh, it's his bedtime. He's coming out to say his thing, and he's going to bed.
In New York City, you have police officers in every corner. It's not because the Trump supporters are going nuts if Biden wins. It's because the Biden supporters and the folks on the left were going to go nuts if President Trump won again. And they were going to commit acts of violence and destruction in major cities. Why is that not being talked about as a narrative? This is not right-wing violence and destruction that's going on. Secondly, to totally switch gears, Michigan, I think, sorry, that's why we're here.
It's not smooth, John.
And I know,
I like it.
This is what happens at this hour.
Let's talk about Michigan.
Michigan officials apparently are telling people that that they're not going to finish counting the vote until noon tomorrow. But there's what is
possible
out and what
civil
is left
war.
Is really interesting. This does seem to favor President Trump in terms of what.
See, this is why people should
have
voted out Nancy Pelosi. I don't know why they would have kept her.
With that. And then lastly, to pivot hard again.
Especially after that hair cutting scandal.
It's really interesting. John Bresnahan, a reporter from Politico, he covers the Hill. He's been with Roll Call. Very experienced reporter on Capitol Hill tweeted this out. Pollsters and pundits took it on the chin tonight. Huge blow to the media's credibility. There has to be changes in how these races are covered.
See, Michigan's already done. He can't even catch up.
He's a very, very seasoned reporter.
68% of the votes are in. There's no way he can even catch up.
He was calling this a major joke for what a lot of the folks in the campaign were saying, and Trump supporters, as well as talking about how this was going to be a bad night for Republicans in the House. So it's interesting that their own reporters are now criticizing that.
It's unbelievable. Mark, looking at all these states, you've been looking at all these paths tonight. What does it look like to you between Biden and Trump?
Well,
knowing what we know.
Let's talk about Pennsylvania a little bit more. There's a very good political reporter in Pennsylvania who writes the main political reporter for the National Enquirer, Jonathan Tamari, who just tweeted regarding the outstanding vote that in the Philadelphia area and the Allegheny County area, which is the Pittsburgh area, there are almost 500,000 mail ballots to be counted.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for the former Vice President Biden. Republicans, there's a lot of votes out in York County where Trump had his best margin.
But
in
okay,
2016,
500,000
so-
to be counted. Of
Yeah.
those, how many does Biden pull? 350,000 on a good
Well-
day. He's 700,000.
Well, let's go to the Philly question.
Yeah.
Right.
How many does he need?
Remember, there's one place in the whole country that before today was the focus of questions about, is it appropriate for Republicans to watch the ballots be counted?
Pennsylvania,
Because-
74% of
and
the
now
count
it's
is
gonna be
in.
proper to watch them be counted.
57%
Because
victory.
There's all sorts of rules about how that
He
works.
can't catch up with that
Republicans
either.
progressives
So
in
just
the
call the
media
freaking state.
And in the news
Like,
and in conservative blogs, Republicans
it's done.
need to go observe the process and being kicked out.
Michigan, Wisconsin,
We've also seen
Pennsylvania,
overreach by
Georgia,
Republicans.
North
So
Carolina,
Republicans make a
it's
big deal of
done.
Photos of
Trump
people
won.
dropping
Why
off
are
ballots.
you
One
sitting here holding
gentleman
out?
Had a picture of himself holding up 2 ballots. Republicans.
Statistically,
threw
there's
illegal
no way he
ballots.
can catch up.
Turned out he was holding his ballot and his husband's ballot, and was
It's
dropping
basic
them both
math.
with his husband there, but not in the picture. My point is, again, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, is about to become a war zone of lawyers and observers and questions about how many of these outstanding ballots are going to actually be being approved. And that doesn't even get to the perfectly appropriate question of, if someone mails in their ballot without that inner security envelope, under Pennsylvania law, it should not be counted. What are Democrats going to say? They're going to find people whose ballots aren't counted, who have sympathetic stories, and say,
Yep.
how can you exclude this?
Yep.
Just before you do it, I wanna
How
say-
could you exclude this cripple's ballot? Oh.
Used it in that speech. All ballots should be counted.
Exactly. Okay.
Not all ballots
Properly
properly cast. That's the thing. Remember, Philadelphia
That's where I
Supreme
was
Court
headed.
changed the rules to talk about how it doesn't have to have a visible postmark, and the signature validations aren't necessarily going to come into play as much. They've already set the predicate that any ballot that they find, any ballot should be counted, not whether it's properly cast. They're setting that predicate tonight with what Joe Biden has said. I've been saying this for weeks on the show. They've been setting this up knowing that this day was going to come.
This goes back to Florida 2000, where the question is, so Sean votes, and there's a problem with the way he cast his ballot. Should Sean be disenfranchised because he didn't follow the rules? Or should his ballot not be counted because he didn't follow the rules? That is a great question for law schools and civics classes. And
He didn't follow the rules. His vote does not get counted. Simple as that.
We want to call the state
not
of
that hard.
Montana. Huge state, not a lot of votes in it, but it's going to go to the president, 55% to 43, as it is right now with 84% of the votes in. And we also want to say that in the state of Georgia, they have decided they are not going to call the race in Georgia tonight.
Are you
They're saying
kidding
they will
me?
Call tomorrow, but because of issues that they had at certain stations,
Oh, that's
certain polling stations,
bullshit.
they're not going to call Georgia tonight. And
They're not
this is
gonna
actually
finish counting.
that's 99% of votes in at this point, and the president up about 120,000.
99% of the votes are in, and you're gonna not
Yeah,
count
the
it?
New York Times, that
Are
was
you
one
not
of the
gonna
things
just
that
call
was
it
said.
like?
They had it. They switched
They
it to
nailed it with
leading.
President Clinton, though.
Yeah.
I mean President Hillary. You know,
Look at that.
There's
That's bull.
That's a big deal.
Wow.
That is bull.
That is a big deal. You realize that
Yeah.
Sean Parnell has defeated Jake Tapper's candidate in Conor Lambert. Remember, this is the candidate that CNN's Jake Tapper tried to talk out of running.
Well, this guy was the picture of the resistance to Trump, and he was the picture of the blue
You
wave
see,
coming in 2018.
Pennsylvania's
when they
over.
said, we can't deal with this
Pennsylvania's
guy, so
over.
this is gonna be-
Georgia's
this is gonna
over.
happen all over the country. He already
All
lost
of
50
these
votes.
things are Trump's states. Why are you even making us wait? So now we gotta wait till tomorrow to get Georgia's
We're
results.
still waiting for the president to talk.
Can I make a comment here about this? Normally, when the president talks, the press office will notify the press pool, right? That is that representative group of media, you know, a TV camera, a news media, or a print person, et cetera, et cetera. It's that group that has to travel with the president everywhere to cover his moves. They have not notified the press pool that the president intends to speak. While the president has tweeted that, There is a time.
99% of the votes are in Georgia.
Prepared that the president's coming. Sometimes it's
And
only
they're
10
not
minutes.
going to call it for
But
Trump.
What we do know now is we're sitting here at 1:41 a.m.
He's got over a 2% victory.
poll has
So
not
even if
been
that whole
notified
full
the president
1% went
yet.
over to
Last election night, the
Biden,
president
it'd
put a lid on it, and then he went to dinner.
still be a
Remember
Trump
that?
victory
But
by
he
over
has no
1%. So
He likes to mess
They're
around.
trying to write something for him?
I don't know, but the thing that's interesting is you could at least tell them. Remember, a lot of times you'll see this in the press briefing room, and then you get a 2-minute
here's
warning,
those
right? So they
Biden
could say
touching
the president
videos
was
all,
speaking 10
right,
minutes, and then
right over
wait till
here
the
on
2-minute
Alex
warning, and you
Jones.
drag it on
Let me
and drag it
ask
on.
It's
you a
like
question I'd like
Biden's
to know the
touching
answer to
and
myself
smelling
right now.
and saying
Of
some
the
weird
states
crap.
that have not been projected,
Hold on.
what might be still projected?
I wonder if they got the audio for this.
To Donald Trump's 213. Now, the states that have
No.
yet to be called are Nevada, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Maine, North Carolina, and Georgia. Of these, Donald Trump leads in all but Nevada, Arizona, and Maine. Donald Trump is leading in all of the others, some by fairly comfortable margins, but they have yet to be called. Alaska hasn't been called either, but has been called in other
Let's
places,
do our
and it's
math.
pretty solid conservative.
Six,
So, that means that
17.
there's still enough up in the air for either one of these guys to end, and just the sheer corruption, the fraud that we've seen able to be carried out. Earlier Alex was talking about Tucker Carlson, and we played that extended Tucker Carlson clip, and there's a line in that has really resonated with me, especially when you brought up the fact that the person in charge of programming for Fox's election coverage is a Democrat. And there's this line that Tucker Carlson says where something like, these elitist, these elitist and nepotistic scumbags that seem to run everything now. And it's like, when you think about it, it's like these people literally run everything.
290. So yeah, it'd be 290 something for Trump and
news station that's run by Democrats. The big tech,
267
that's
for
run by
fucking
Democrats.
Biden.
The corporations
So-
completely run by Democrats, and it's not that the
It's
Democrats
already a win for
have
Trump.
a particular monopoly on intelligent, capable people. It's
What do you mean it don't
corruption.
work?
It's nepotism. It's moving into a type of world.
Maine
that
is a
an
split
authoritarian
state.
world, whether it's Nazism or communism. It all operates the same way. In that, what is the most important thing when considering any job application or any new movie script that comes across your desk is not whether it's actually whether somebody's actually capable of performing the job that they're being put in.
Man to
It's,
people,
do
right?
they serve the
Once
system?
they got this,
Do they adhere to your ideology?
they inaccurately called 50,000 ballots for Donald Trump, makes their life a little bit easier. There really is we're talking 10% maybe likelihood.
well,
less
that's just
that
it.
Donald
Like
Trump
they're,
loses
they're,
his
they
state at
just
this
now
point.
said,
And that
oh,
would be-
Georgia's got
that's actually
99% of the
because
votes
that would
counted
define
and
the
tallied, right?
And that just
And
doesn't
Trump's got
happen.
a 2% victory,
Just doesn't happen.
right?
What
Over Trump or over Biden, you have 2% lead right now.
Here, even if you don't get
But we're not going to give you
Help me out with
the
math
final
here,
count
Rich. If
right
you
now
don't
because
get
we're having problems
Pennsylvania and you
counting
get Michigan
until
and
tomorrow.
Wisconsin,
Yeah, it's
we're
like,
at 271. Am I correct
but
on that?
mathematically speaking, even if Biden got the full 1%,
Carolina, because I consider those.
And
why did
Trump
you
would
say- I
still
just wanna
win
make
by
sure for the
1%.
audience.
So
You said
why
you
not
thought,
just call it?
Georgia was in a tougher place to call than North Carolina.
don't make no
You would make
sense.
to call North Carolina right now. Would you not to call North Carolina for Trump?
I would, yes, because I know the voter file. I know where it is. I would. I just don't see how you can sell to me
That's
that,
why I can't
that
watch the news.
100% turnout happened.
Yeah, well, I
statewide
saw
in
like
the state
somebody
of North
else like
Carolina.
live
That's what
streaming
it's
them
gonna
watching
take.
this crap,
And then in
you know,
Georgia,
and I was like,
the
well,
only reason
I
why I
could
say
do
that, let's take a look at Georgia.
So I decided
We're
to
about
just,
now at
you know,
115,000
live stream me watching this
vote
crap
lead. That
and
means Fulton
put my
came in a little
commentary
bit more
on top
maybe,
of it.
Yeah, it's already now too. See, they were really waiting on this. Fulton came in a little bit. Now we have DeKalb all the way up to 83%. So that gave Biden a
You
big
see,
jump.
he's got
That's how
over
we got a little
2%
bit
victory.
closer.
It's a
But
2.65
again,
victor,
this
lead.
is why.
He's got a 2.5 lead, right? 2.5 lead on him.
Clayton now
2.5%. It is there's less than 1% of the votes that still need to be counted. So why not just call the state?
But I mean, it is now. I'm not sure if it had anything before the last time we looked at it. But I mean, at least there are votes here, Steve. That's why I'm saying that. At least there are votes still out in Georgia. If you go to North Carolina, The Democratic strongholds in North Carolina
That is so
are
good.
done. Mecklenburg is done. Buncombe is done. Wade, it's finished. It's a hit.
And that one too
Is done. Even New Hanover, Biden did. Well,
that's North Carolina. That one's done too. Like it's just over.
But they're done. So you go.
Trump
all the way
won.
Wait, there it is.
Trump
They're
won.
Done.
And they refuse. They refuse to count it and say, "Oh, he won because we don't want riots."
And Donald Trump's at 36.
So the breaking news is that the president will
That's what
address
happened
the
right
nation
now.
from the East Room in the White House within the next 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it's going to be worth. I know there's a lot of you watching on the live stream. By the way, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything.
All free.
Whoa,
And
look
by
at
the
that
way,
crap
Steve,
going
what I
on
said
in
this
Alex
morning, I said
Jones'
we wanted to
stream.
hit 150,000 subscribers.
Oh,
on the
no.
thing by this evening's coverage. We are at 149,000.
There you go. That's my little rant.
Well, it's just like how desperate do we have to get until we clean up our act here? But I got some questions about Maricopa County.
I think that these
in
black
Phoenix,
Republicans
Arizona.
have done such a great job, not only advancing themselves, but really helping the president and the Republican Party overall. Kim Klasik's a rising star, and I think that you saw that there was another gentleman who challenging Maxine Waters out in California, same kind of district, but again, ran a really good campaign, sharp messages, great ads. I think bright future in the party.
I hate to keep talking about the media, but that woman was not profiled by a single magazine like Elle. or
Mathematically
Vogue.
speaking,
I think if she were a
Trump
Democrat,
already
she would-
won this, and the left just doesn't want it to happen. They are doing everything that they can to make sure it's not called in Trump's favor right now.
The women overall in the Republican Party. I mean, Heather was State Department spokeswoman. All of these women that populate around Donald Trump that do
30 and he'd won, and I feel like it's going to be the same thing tonight.
I got to tell you, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the president's in better shape now than we were in 16. I realize we won 306 electoral votes, but if you look at the jam right now, Wisconsin looks strong, Michigan looks strong, Georgia looks strong, North Carolina looks good. I think you can feel comfortable calling North Carolina. Pennsylvania is going to be a dogfight, but correct me if I'm wrong, right now we could actually lose Pennsylvania, win Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and he would get to 271, would he not, sir? Is that essentially the math?
If you lose Georgia and you carry, well, yeah, you could.
No, he's got to win. He's got to win. I'm saying for Trump, if Trump wins Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Michigan, okay? And he loses Arizona and loses Pennsylvania and loses Nevada. He would still be at 271. Is that the math? To have that correct?
He'd be at 275 actually,
275.
because he's going to win Maine too. And he did lose Nebraska too. Listen, for all the Republicans out there, this is what you get with Trump. Nebraska too has been running away since John McCain. And it just is the way it is. Omaha, Gallup, Prudential. This is not the same Nebraska 2 that everybody remembers. It's a very professional class, service industry, not what you would expect from any Republican anymore, let alone Donald Trump. So it was barely won in 2016. I actually expected Nebraska 2 to go. I did. Or at least I'm not surprised. But yeah, he could do that. Or Steve, they could miraculously take Georgia from him. He wins North Carolina, and he wins Pennsylvania. Because I got to tell you.
But hang on a second. I want to go back to Georgia because I think this is very important before the president comes out here. I want to walk through the math one more time. How possibly could it's 115,000 vote difference right now?
Yes.
115,000 votes. How many precincts or how many counties? What percentage of the vote is in right now?
About greater than 99, but it's a little lopsided.
Hold on, hang on. There's not 99% of the vote has not. They reported 99% of the vote in Georgia.
They keep, in truth, that's what it's reported here because, as usual, the uncertainty in this election is high. it's lopsided, and that's why they're feeling the way they're feeling right now. But we're still
Trump sold
there's
more
115,000 votes.
Memorabilia.
Yeah.
He sold more memorabilia.
125, 120, something like that.
There's 125,000 votes. They got 99% of the counties, and they're sitting there not calling. How's Associated Press not call this? Are there
Now he's saying the same thing I just
Is there
said.
any mail votes that are not been counted yet?
Speaking of which,
Yeah, so here's the number out of Georgia. Okay,
This
so
book
there
right
were
here,
1,603,306
reading.
absentee ballot requests. That's
is a
it.
lot of
Before
truth
we
in it, by
started
David
election
Horowitz.
day, there were
David Horowitz,
3,905,142
Trump will smash
total
left and
votes
win.
cast. We now
There
are
was
looking
nothing but
obviously
truth,
at a
all
lot more than that.
verifiable facts.
And it doesn't get any, like I said, the election day vote gets better for
Good book.
Trump. The one county that is defying that is DeKalb, right? Or I keep getting yelled at. People say it's DeKalb. I always thought it was DeKalb. It is DeKalb. Okay.
You're a
So
Republican?
here we are at 16% for Donald Trump. But look at how
I'm,
much is already in. There's
unaffiliated with any
83
party.
to
I do
97, and the
feel
truth is, it's probably
a
closer
lot
to the high end.
in
How do we
common
know
with the
that?
Constitutionalist
Because we're
Party.
looking at those the vote shares
However,
right now.
I
and the
feel
total
as
votes that are
though
cast.
if I were
it's probably,
to,
that one is probably closer to the high
be
end.
a party
Even
affiliate,
if we give
I would
Fulton,
probably
which
pick
is
my own
possible,
party.
that there's 25% left.
'Cause
That is, he's got right now a net 183.
I just don't want to
and they're
join any
looking
of the
at
parties,
that
really.
and they're saying, he could possibly net another 40. But again, the problem with that is
you can totally read.
they haven't been seeing consistent margins as the vote shares increase.
Yes.
And again, it tightens. See, we got some a little bit, but it gets better for Trump. So if you netted on average, if you break that down into fours and you net, that's 40,000 votes. But in truth, you can pretty much take to the bank that it's going to be more like 36 because as the day goes on,
Well, like
and we saw
from,
this for those of you who
Star
remember
Wars?
the special election fight in Karen Handel versus John Ossoff. Fulton came in 72-26, just like that in the early vote. And then as time went on, it chipped away. Handel, I think, got to about 30. So that is what you would expect to happen. Now, this is Trump's worst potential scenario, but the good news is for him, it's almost totally in. And there is a few votes here and there out in red areas, but not much. I mean, I can go around, you can see 99.
So why do you think that they're? What is your logic for why they would not call Georgia right now for Trump? Why do you think that their AP, Associated Press, Decision Desk, all this? What do you think they're thinking through?
I think there was a game plan, Steve. I honestly do, because the cynic in me and us, when we were talking around here, this is how it would play out if this was cooked from the beginning. This is how it would play out. I think that if they let this go on and they keep this going on, then they'll feel better if, tomorrow somebody claims to have found a bunch of ballots in the trunk or something. That's just the way these guys operate. It is. That's a shame, but again, it's still a lot to overtake. We're talking about 125,000 votes. Could it be close? I'm sure it will be. There's still blue stuff out there, but it's still,
that
you
first
would have
debate
to
was
be happy to be the president
two monkeys
here, because there
just
is
flinging
red vote
shit at
out,
each other.
by the way. Harris still has red vote out. Donald Trump's margin right there is 9,000.
But
He
honestly,
could get another 2 to 3 a net.
You
out
got
of
to
there.
see how
and if you go
Biden
around,
just
there's a little
spit
precincts
nothing
that
but
are
a bunch of
trickling
lies
in.
and conspiracy
Taylor,
theories and
that's
disproven
1,300.
facts.
Every vote counts, right?
There was no
so
facts and
as you
anything.
go
They were
around,
all
you do see little
disproven
pockets
lies.
of where President Trump can have
And,
a couple hundred votes here, a couple thousand, a couple
all
thousand
the
votes
reports
there.
he was referencing
and you would have to,
either
you would
retracted
really have to think
their statements or
that Fulton's
had
hanging on
credible witnesses
to
coming out
another
disproving the claims.
80,000 ballots. No,
That's impossible. That's impossible. What do you think the maximum number? 80,000 is impossible. What do you think the maximum number they have there?
So I'm thinking they got in DeKalb, I'm thinking they got probably around, or DeKalb, I'm thinking they probably have around 30 or 40, and maybe in Fulton, looking over there, with 80% it, I mean, that could be as low as 20. I mean, 20, 30, max 40. It's not enough to catch Donald Trump. That's the point of the story.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
So, in your best estimate, when
everything's said and done in Georgia, Trump is going to win by what percentage?
Well, now that there is that much vote out there,
Yeah, but if
half a
you
point.
do go back and
Because it's not going to knock it down.
isolate
There's
their
another red
voices,
vote out there.
You were as high as
hear
6
what
or
they're
8% a couple hours ago. What happened?
Biden
Yeah,
half
what
the time
happened
can't
is
even
some
keep
of these
his
eastern counties were showing.
thoughts
Actually,
together,
there still is some vote.
let alone
Some of these
say
eastern
anything
counties were
without
showing a little
insulting
bit. I guess they reported
the
a little
president.
bit lopsided.
Like,
and
he
we
insulted the
just thought there
president
was a little
multiple
bit more
times, told him
vote
to
out
shut
in
up,
this
said he was
area.
the worst
And he
president
did great.
ever,
and look,
and all
Jeff
this
Davis
other
is a
stuff.
perfect example.
Called him a liar.
This is how Ken hung
And
on.
he started
but
the
there were
interruptions,
more votes on the
and
table
he interrupted
that
along
Trump could
with
get.
Chris
He
Wallace.
did
They both
get them.
interrupted
It's just
Trump
that they
more
reported
than Trump
lopsided.
even
So when we
interrupted
were looking
Biden
at that,
alone.
we thought there were probably
And it
another
was like,
30 combined.
why
out
is
here,
everybody
but
getting on
there's
his case?
not.
Like, he was
There probably is another
way
couple,
more civil
couple
than the
grand
other
out
two.
there, but not at all what we thought. And
didn't even insult Biden
so
once.
even if it does, it just
He
still
told him
doesn't
to
get
shush.
So
He
you
didn't
think,
say shut up.
you think the worst he will do would be win by half a point, and then the best he could do is win by a point?
Yeah, it's tough because when it's this close, a lot of times what happens
Biden's whole
in
campaign was
Georgia
just,
is no different. These
I'm
red
not
counties
Trump,
find
vote
stuff
for me.
like, oops, I forgot this 500. It happens. And
Yeah.
we saw that with
Welcome,
Brian Kemp.
yeah,
welcome to
really.
the deep
You know,
south.
Come on, man.
Right,
Shut
right.
up,
and it
man.
ended up like what with Brian Kemp? A little
He
bit
has the
more
same
comfortable
one-lining
than
quotes,
everybody
by the
thought
way.
it was
Like,
going
if
to
you
be.
go back and
This
look-
looks a
listen,
lot to me.
It's always
like
the same
Kemp
things he says to people.
Very much.
And Kemp took 6 days to work through, right? They didn't have a recount, but they had to get everything counted. It took them 6 days, correct?
Yeah, it did. About a week.
If
Yeah,
you're,
but,
if you're
you know,
at these numbers,
I actually
at
I
0.5%,
came up with
half a
something
percent
very
to 1%,
interesting.
it's going to
The
take them a while
Democratic
to count
Party,
this,
right?
correct?
Its
Your
founder,
belief is they're
over
not
100
gonna
years
call
ago,
this tonight.
said,
They probably won't.
most
but
famously
again,
on the
there's
Senate
no
floor,
explanation
it was
for
quoted
why Fulton, and
that
we'll look into
if
that.
those
There is
N-words
no
are going to
explanation
vote,
for why Fulton
then I'll
is-
have those
is-
N-words
is holding.
voting
Even
Democrat
in
for the next
2018,
100 years.
We generally
And then
knew
100
the
years
numbers.
later, you have Biden
Stacey
saying, well,
Abrams
if you
was telling
can't
people that they
decide
they,
who to vote for
they
between
had some other
me or
votes
Trump,
that just weren't being reported and
and
showed
you
up.
go vote for
and
me,
they
then you
did.
ain't black.
And they found
It's like,
20,000
whoa,
here.
are you kidding me? That's like the most racist thing you can say. And
But it wasn't
it
enough
just showed
because,
the
again,
Democratic
like
Party,
I said,
you
this
know,
happened
even
in
over these
2018.
100
There
years,
were other
they
red
have
counties
not
that
changed
still
at all.
had
They've
vote.
always
We
been the
actually
same.
do see that there
They're just
are
as
some,
racist as they ever been.
not big, but medium-sized
Biden
more
has said
counties,
even
I'd say,
more
that still
racist
do have
things,
20% of their
saying
vote
kids
out.
will
Like we're looking at
grow up in
Harris right
racial
now.
jungles.
It's potentially
If
20. And the reason
integration
why I say
happens
that
and
is because
busing
look at the
happens,
turnout.
he
It
said
probably
that,
is more legitimate looking at the vote total that there
you
is,
know,
maybe not 20, but
the
15%.
1994 crime bill
easy
will
to
keep
believe.
predators
So he'll net
off the
a couple,
streets.
you know,
Hillary
a couple
Clinton
votes more out of
reinforced
there.
his
That'll help
statement with
offset that. So
this
it'll be a back and
keeps super
forth.
predators off of our
by the way, the
streets.
President of the United States is going to be
And
addressing
I'm
the nation
pretty
here
sure
from the
that
newsroom
Biden and
momentarily.
Hillary probably
You're
even both
listening to or
coordinated
watching
together,
the,
see super
global
predators here and there
coverage from
off
War Room
camera,
with our
but
partners, G
either
News and
way,
GTV.
you know,
I got,
it doesn't really matter.
Maggie
Biden
Vanderberg,
said predators,
Jack Maxey, Raheem
Hillary said
Hassan,
super predators,
Rich
along
Barris
the same lines.
From, big data polling, one of the top guys in the country. I want to read our former partner Jason Miller, one of the guys from the War Room, just put out a tweet. Arizona is very much in play. Extrapolate this out, especially with good counties left to count. Admiral Donald Trump wins Arizona. Jason Miller, as you know, Raheem and Jack, he's not a guy to throw down, false challenges. So, Rich, can you take us back to Arizona and back up what Jason Miller's saying here? What is he talking about?
Yeah, so this is what I've been saying for the night when they did this. 6 points with really the estimation was that there was probably only 15% of the vote out, but because of what we've been seeing on election day and what we heard out on the ground, it is possible that it is closer to 20. So that
I think they have have to recognize it's 2 in the morning and there's only so much you can possibly do.
Right.
That's kind of the, this isn't, 10 or 11 o'clock at night when you've got people on edge. There's no one right now that thinks that you're going to definitely know, because even if Georgia comes in, that looks like it's coming down at best to a recount, or the president's going to have his team out. Pennsylvania, again, too close to call. Michigan and Wisconsin both look good, but there's so much that's out that there's not much more you do at this point.
Sean, a question for you. I have a question about the process by which the president and his team put together remarks on his behalf, especially in a tense situation like this, where you're going to have lawyers who want to weigh in. How much of this is president driven, what he is insisting on saying, and how much of it is got the filter of the aides there, like a Stephen Miller and the lawyers?
It's a great question because, again, I think everybody's going to try to have their hand in this. But at the end of the day, I also think what's going to be interesting tonight to your question, Heather, is how much does he say on script?
But there's a prompter there, right?
Yeah.
Is that a prompter? Or am I seeing something else?
I
Or is that on the right side of the frame? Is that a teleprompter?
No.
Oh, no, it's a shadow.
Yeah, so...
By the way, we just got a 5-minute warning from the president,
But this
so
is
it's about 4 minutes
something
away.
that Mark brought up.
Oh,
earlier tonight,
sweet.
and that was about
President's
Biden. He
gonna
says
come up and
he can't
speak.
do anything dumb. Don't do anything stupid. And I asked you when we were offset, well, what would something dumb or stupid look like? And you said, well, if he says the wrong thing, if he comes out and he says the wrong thing. So the president has to be very careful here tonight, does he not?
Well, again, yes. He may want to come out and talk about we're going to win. We're going to win and don't steal it. Or whatever. Look, he's got viable paths. I think that what he doesn't want to do is have everyone wake up tomorrow and have the last thing the president of the United States said, which the morning shows will start to cover, is the president created chaos and confusion. Let them talk about the fact that this is a close race, that he's done a great job. He defied expectation. I think the media is eating enough crow. Don't give them a reason not to do that, right? And if he throws a bone and says, "Oh, this was fraud and they're trying to steal us," they're going to, glom onto that.
Liberal Twitter is already saying the president's trying to steal the election, even though.
Oh, the president's trying to steal the election, huh?
But his tweet opened the door. But you're right. He would be smart to not say anything about stealing.
I can't get over it. These 3 counties, you got the.
How are you going to say the president's trying to steal the election?
These are
Like,
seriously
Have you already
blue
looked? Is Biden doing better than Hillary did in those counties?
Have you already looked? Here, I haven't. I would suspect he is.
I'm not assigning that to you, but you've been pretty good at that. You've been the leader in checking.
It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of maneuvering with the website here, but he's doing very well. I mean, in Clayton County, with 84% in, Biden's got 85% of the vote to 14 for Donald Trump.
By the way, I know I think we may be seeing the president, not just yet, but the AP has called the Montana race for Senator Steve Daines, who faced a tough challenge. I don't know if you guys covered that when I was upset, but I think again that does put again another seat at rest.
Can't wait till the president comes up to speak.
The former governor wanted to take that.
Come on, Trump.
Yeah.
And they also have the governor's house now in Montana. First time in 16 years, so that's significant. Montana's also a state where they've had a lot of people from California move in. So you'd think that the state was really taking a turn to the left with all these new folks coming in. Also, 45,000 new voters registered in that state since the primary alone. So you got a big influx of new people coming into a state that's pretty small. It's like 800,000 or so population.
If Georgia ends up picking the president, which it could, Barack Obama's last-minute visit will be a big deal. The decision that the Biden campaign made to go on TV heavily in Georgia, the Kamala Harris visited extensively. Joe Biden visited some. Jill Biden did some. So
how much? I heard in
a
lot of media narrative that Stacey Abrams, the former Democrat the Democrat who had run for governor,
she'll get a lot of the credit.
It's interesting.
Well,
how much does she deserve, and how much will she get?
She did 3 things. She'll get a lot, and she did 3 things to deserve it. One is she proved that you could win statewide or get close to winning statewide as a Democrat, because they've had trouble winning statewide there. Second is she created a couple of organizations that have really worked to register voters and to work on civic engagement. And then lastly, she showed the kind of outrage, because from her point of view, as she stated repeatedly, the election was stolen from her. And she channeled her own personal outrage into getting people to register to vote and to feel like they needed to fight back against the Republican machine. So
these numbers
she'll
are
get a lot of
identical
credit.
in these 3 counties.
Identical.
Atlanta.
The percentage are identical. What about
identical.
the vote totals?
You just keep making it tougher and tougher for
I thought you'd look up both at the same time.
It's a panel guess,
Rob Schmidt is now
wants so much.
I'm wondering why he didn't take more math in college.
I was never good at math. DeKalb County, it looks about the same. It looks like
numbers,
a $250,000 to Hillary back in
I'm
2016.
surprised that he would lose if it was basically no different from 4 years ago.
No, it'll be higher. It'll be
a bigger
50,000 higher in DeKalb County.
Okay,
which
well
is east side Atlanta.
that could decide the president. And it's interesting because, of course, they won that Senate race, it appears, without a runoff. So the president's clearly running behind.
They still got that
there.
stranglehold on the inner cities. They managed to do it in a couple of these states, like we just saw with that girl that tried to take Cummings' seat.
Yeah.
They still have it in some
President
places.
will
They
be on
absolutely do.
If we're still on the air after the president's done, I think we should look at the Georgia exit poll seriously to see how it compares to Florida. In other words, like the president seems to do very well with older voters in Florida. Did he do it with did he not do as well with older voters in
It's
Georgia?
curious. We had a 5-minute warning from the president about 5 minutes ago. As you take a look inside the White House, they got a number of the press there, media members there, just waiting to hear from him. Right now, as it stands, the president's 2 electoral votes behind. But if you were sitting in this situation, I think you could say you'd rather be the president at this moment than Joe Biden. The president's got
It's a pretty close call with Georgia.
It's a close call with Georgia, but you cannot. I mean, you got to look at that Pennsylvania lead is dramatic. Michigan looks great. Those two put together, it looks good. Even if you lose Georgia,
No,
you got to take Wisconsin.
You got to take Wisconsin or something else.
Wisconsin looks good though. For the president, I think it looks pretty good right now. It's early, but it looks pretty good. I don't know.
All right, so what I'm being told is that if all that math works out in Georgia, they got to find 40,000 plus votes in a bunch of those rural counties to go the president's way. That may be a bit of a challenge, but again, you've got a lot of places that are going to be slow to report in, some military ballots. So this is suddenly going to become a very, very interesting dynamic.
So what you're saying, when they extrapolate out what's left in these 3 big blue counties,
Yep. It looks like they'll still have to. They will
40.
come up 40,000 short of Georgia. That they will have to try to find in rural counties.
That's a lot to find.
That's a lot to find.
Yeah.
But let's.
I'm not prepared to apologize yet to the New York Times Needle, but I'm getting pretty close.
Well,
they were right.
It was it was too early to call, and at some point tonight, and that happened. I'm just trying to. Okay.
The interesting thing is Mark brought this up earlier. That popular vote that they really thought, all these polls nationally, and I'm one of the folks that said national polls didn't matter. Focus on the battleground poll. But the funny thing is, you're now looking at a 2 million vote delta nationally speaking, 62 million to 64 million.
Yeah.
That's not a 10-point spread.
No, and 1 million can come in California as it did 4 years ago. 1 million came in after Election Day, I believe, in California, and accounted for one of the 3 million in California that accounted for the entire national gap. It's never going to get to a 10-point spread.
Let's regroup here just for a second. Take a look at some of these states. Let's broaden it out for a second. We'll start with the state of Pennsylvania. We can pull it up here, and just how good the president looks in Pennsylvania. You got 77% of the votes in the state of Pennsylvania. This is Joe Biden's home state. The president up by more than 700,000 votes at this hour. I believe they have stopped counting in the state of Pennsylvania, but the president has a pretty handsome lead at this point, and we've looked at some of these counties. It does seem like it's going to be really, really tough for Joe Biden to make up that gap.
He isn't going to. So just call the freaking states,
The
man.
state of Michigan.
Can you go back to Pennsylvania real quick?
Let's flip it back 1 second.
Sorry about that.
Look at that.
Where are we? Sorry, that's Michigan. Yeah, sorry guys. There we go.
Back to
So,
Pennsylvania.
here's the interesting thing in Pennsylvania. I know that 77% of the votes in, but when you look at what President Trump got last time, he got 2,970,000 votes. He's just shy of that now, right? He's about 100,000 off. This is the real interesting thing. Hillary Clinton last time got 2.9026441. Joe Biden's way off of where Hillary Clinton did.
But there's a quarter of the vote left to come in.
I know, but look at the difference.
Going to Biden.
In
To
your
the
own
point,
state,
sure,
that's
right. You got a quarter of the vote.
Yeah.
Trump's just 100,000 off of where he was last time. Joe Biden.
When you think about it, right?
900,000 off of where he is. So that trend
both the
doesn't
states
portend well. I mean,
that
that
have
shows
New York
President
City and
Trump's going to
Chicago
vote.
and
The Pennsylvania officials
are
prior to election
technically
have talked
states
about
that are
the fact
his because
that
he
they
has Trump
registered
towers in both of
100,000
them.
plus
But
new Republican
both
voters
those
in the
cities.
state.
But
It looks like
at the
that
same
came
time,
off. This
it's
goes
not
back to that
necessarily always going to go his way.
Fracking comment, 100%.
And-
Sure, absolutely.
But
Let's go
Florida
back to
is his
Michigan
state. That's his
now and
home
take a
state
look.
now anyway. So
Another state that is surprising
That
a lot of
went
people.
with-
and I think
with
we got
him.
some members or members
Both
of the
times.
administration coming in. Eric, we're still waiting for the president. Any minute now, the president's going to speak tonight. We heard from Joe Biden. He spoke for about 2 minutes Didn't say a whole lot, except they feel good and then he went to bed.
Tip for the
Before he
tea.
walks
I
up
have
to
to get
the
some
audience,
more tea.
Yeah, real quick over under. Heather, do you
Actually,
think
I
that
think
he
I might make
talks
some
for
coffee.
more or less than 5 minutes? It's 2:11 a.m.
You laying down bets?
I think it depends on who he's listening to tonight. If it's the president and the president's gut that's going out there and he's giving his speech, he talks longer. But if he's listening to the lawyers and other folks who are
Man,
waiting,
come on!
then I think he keeps it short and
I'm
tight.
actually wrestling with that.
Trump
myself.
won!
I think that to me is the $1 million question. How long he talks will be reflective of who he listened to tonight. I think the lawyers want to keep him tight. They want to keep it focused, but I know the president wants
Look
to
at how
get out
red
there.
they are.
If this were Bill Clinton or George Bush, they would have arranged the soundbite that they wanted to lead the Today Show tomorrow and every other newscast. I don't think.
See,
the
I
president
like
will do
the
that. I've never
the
seen
app
it.
or whatever it is
Let's
that
see-
these guys
let's
are
see if
using.
There's a soundbite.
Well, if
I
there's,
like
there
that.
may be a soundbite.
I wish
don't know that it's
we had
the-
access to that.
That's what I'm saying.
And if it's too long, I mean, but that's the thing.
What would the right soundbite be?
You know, I'm proud of what we did
I'm
tonight.
fighting for you.
I'm going to fight for you.
Yeah.
We got a lot of ways to go. I'll see you tomorrow.
You can never go wrong with "I'm fighting for you."
Yeah. But again, the question is, does he get up there and start talking about the process?
Or
the
lead
vote?
a chant of "Lock her up."
Right. Well, there's only.
There's been a lot of people saying lock her up, lock him up for both Hillary
He
and
knows as well as I
Biden
do. He could do that.
at the Trump rallies.
Jeez. We're still waiting for the
Bunch of
president.
people
We can look at
chanted
the states
fire
that
him
we-
for
I don't know if you guys do that or
Fauci.
not, but we were taking a
And
nice
he's
little
like,
look at Michigan.
"Don't say anything,
and
we'll
you
wait
see
till
a
after the
53,
election."
46 lead for the president. 71% in, that's 16 electoral votes, an important state. This is a state that 12 hours ago the Democrats were laughing about.
Michigan is
as with
Trump.
it was a waste of time. And
Easy.
look at this lead. This is what, 250,000 votes ahead, 71% reporting. Michigan looks pretty good. Let's take one quick look at Wisconsin. Just 1 second, Heather. We got 1.4 million to 1.35. So yeah, you got about 100,000 votes there in Wisconsin with 91% in. I'd have to take a closer look at the counties to make a determination there, but Wisconsin looks pretty good. We can take a look at Georgia too. This is the one I think the president's nervous about. Mark, go ahead and talk a little bit more about how tight this is getting.
I mean, it's gotten tighter, and where as we discussed a little while ago, where the vote is out are these big counties that are overwhelmingly Democratic.
Why does it say 90? I mean, is it really 99% of votes in?
No, boy.
I mean, could that be?
If that's the
something's off.
If that's the case, then
If that's the case, it's not nearly that close.
No, but there's something going on there in the data that because there's not a lot of pushback from Republicans. Both Sean and I have had contact with them where they've made it clear that they don't think this is theirs to lose at this point on the Republican side. So I don't know what that is a little confusing. And again, of all the states that are out, this is the one. I mean, look, there are 4 big states on the map now, right? Georgia, and then the so-called blue wall: Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. The president needs to win 2 of the 4, right? 2 of the 4 to win.
Oh, my YouTube
And,
link is not updated. I gotta switch that.
Not just 2 of 4.
Or my Twitch link.
Prize becomes almost.
He can win it with Georgia and Michigan, I believe.
Right. If he doesn't win Georgia, though,
I gotta update on my
has to
part.
You get
take.
Pennsylvania and one of
I
the
will.
other 2.
No,
Later.
it's
All 3 of the other
it's Pennsylvania. Yeah.
So
that
he's
gets
got to
him
win. So the
250.
president's got to win 3 of the 4.
That's right. If he
Gotta
gets
win 3 of the 4.
Pennsylvania, then that gets him to 251. Then he can take either Michigan
or Georgia.
Yeah, but that somehow once he loses Michigan, if he loses Georgia, he's got to take
He's gotta take
Pennsylvania,
all 3.
Wisconsin, and Michigan.
Yeah, although we should say he's ahead in all those right now.
That's right.
He is, and I honestly think he looks really good in Pennsylvania, which I think is.
Can I tell you the scary
biggest
part is? I mean, look, if that's what he gets, you give. if this plays out, that you give Georgia to the Democrats, you give Pennsylvania to Donald Trump, Michigan to Donald Trump, and Wisconsin to Donald Trump. You come 277 to 259.
That's right.
Remember, last time the president won with 306 electoral votes, but he had 3 faithless electors that went away. There's going to be a real battle for those electors real quick to get people to try to defect, for challenges to happen.
304,
The
not
Biden campaign
306.
is not going to take a 277 win on the Trump campaign's behalf and say, okay, good race, we'll call it a day. I mean, there's going to be legal battles ensuing on either side if we come down with a scenario that's no one's over 280.
Wasn't there a Supreme Court decision on faithless
What?
electors?
There was. I just cannot. It's, but again, I think what it
Rob will Google it.
Rob, get on that, man.
But
We need you
this
to
is
look
where
at that
those
up.
lawyers could have
Okay.
What it was too is you got to
A little
remember
worried
the
for a
difference between
second.
states that allow faithless electors and states that don't.
Right.
What I think most of that came down with was there were states where it was silent, and what I think got reaffirmed was whether or not
those faithless electors, if the state says they have to vote for the person that they were elected by, then they must.
Right.
But there are some states that are silent on that, and that I don't think was addressed by the court.
So just to recap this for everybody at home, if you're just tuning in, it's a very tight race. We're waiting for the president to speak here at any minute. We got a 5-minute warning 10 minutes ago. It happens. It's basically coming down to 4 states from what we can determine right now. It looks like it's going to be down to Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So these are the 4 states you need to get really familiar with as we move into this last round. The race right now is very tight, 213 to 225. It looks like Donald Trump needs to win 3 of those 4 states in order to take this thing. And at this point, he's leading in all 4 of them. But Georgia is getting really, really, really close. Pennsylvania, he's got a nicer lead. Michigan and Wisconsin, he's shocking the world right now by doing so well in, vastly overperforming, way ahead of what the
Which
polls
doesn't make any
anticipated,
sense why they're
just a matter of
shocked,
hours ago.
because
So that's the situation.
they both went
as
his
we have
way
it right
last
now.
time.
Can I tell you, by the
Yeah,
way,
go ahead.
what this says to me right now is when they gave that 5-minute warning, it's one thing to go 2 minutes over the 5-minute warning, 3 minutes over the 5-minute warning. What this gets back to is what's going in that speech. This to me says they're sitting upstairs having a back and forth with the President of the United States, who's saying, this is what I want to say, and them saying, Mr. President, this is what you
And
really
in the
need
current
to say.
configuration, at a night like this, I assume Jared and Ivanka are in the room because they're there.
I would assume Jared and Ivanka are in the room, Mark Meadows is in the room. I guarantee you've got Bill Steppe and his campaign manager, Jason Miller, senior communications advisor,
Kayleigh
McEnany, Hope Hicks, Stephen Miller, that core team that's up there. The
Alex
question
Jones'
that really
streams
comes down to is
be
what
having
lawyers
bandwidth
are there.
issues, some
And I'm not just
pretty
talking
bad
about
ones,
Pat
actually.
Cipollone, the White House counsel, but there's a question of what are the campaign lawyers telling him. So the Jenna Ellis's, who is in that room with him from the campaign that is telling him what they are doing and what they want to make sure, because what they don't want to do is have something the president says tonight come back to bite them going down.
Do you think, besides that legal point, which is a great one, do you think there's any communications camps? Do you think some are arguing to be more aggressive, to reach out? What would the camps be?
Look, I've done 2 elections. 1994, we lost by 2 votes, in Connecticut 2, and then I did Florida 22.
Then 2016, of course, they got to shut it down. And you've got these Democratic governors of these states. You've also got the
Listen to
social
Steve
media. The
Bannon
social
now.
media is taking the president off of, took down his tweet. I guess they're going to get ready to suspend his account. In fact, he hasn't tweeted anything since then, so he could have been suspended.
Hey, do we still have Rich?
Yeah, we got Rich Barris.
Rich, I wanna pull you over to Nevada if I can, and I just want to understand Nevada, where we're at there. 78% report as far as the New York Times is concerned, but it looks like a pretty close race here. Where do you see Nevada going here?
How much is reporting? 78%?
Yeah, 70.
Did we have Rich?
I don't know if I have Rich's.
We've got Rich's chart.
Here we go.
Totally. Here I am.
Go ahead.
All right, so I was talking and I was wondering why nobody heard me. All right, so in Washoe, we got about 95% in. Now, Republican really feel comfortable to win Nevada. Really needs to fight Washoe to a draw.
Yeah.
It has got a little better for Trump, but he's still about 5 points down. With the last remaining 5% of the vote, it may swing it a little bit more in his favor. But right now, Joe Biden's less than 3-point lead is looking a lot like Hillary Clinton. They have Lincoln County that needs to come in, which is solid. It will be a solid vote for Trump. And 25% of Clark. He's at 44% in Clark. If he was miraculously build up that margin in Clark, then you theoretically could have a chance to carry, because we still have Lincoln and we still have Lander. Let's see what Douglas is doing real quick. There's Warren. Douglas is actually it's small, but there's actually a lot of votes there for a red small area. And that's about a 30-point margin. We knew there'd be a big rural vote out of Nevada, but it will net, if we go, with, let's say 83% left, you're only talking about a net of a couple thousand more votes. So he would really need to get this closer, Washoe closer, and then he would need to do better in Clark. He hits 45 or 46, and that's a race. That is a race.
There's not enough in Lander there in the center of the map that is not declared.
Yeah, Lander's not that big. I wish I had the way to show you the voter file. It's just scary.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please sit. Thank you. This is without question the latest news conference I've ever had.
Yeah, it is.
I appreciate it very much, and I want to thank the American people for their tremendous support. Millions and millions of people voted for us tonight, and a very sad group of people is trying to disenfranchise that group of people, and we won't stand for it. We will not stand. I want to thank the First Lady, my entire family, and Vice President Pence, Mrs. Pence, for being with us, all three of us. And we were getting ready for a big celebration. We were winning everything, and all of a sudden it was just all off. The results tonight have been phenomenal, and we are getting ready. I mean, literally, we were just all set to get outside and just celebrate something that was so beautiful, so good. Such a vote, such a success. The citizens of this country have come out in record numbers. This is a record. There's never been anything like it. To support our incredible movement, we won states that we weren't expected to. In Florida, we didn't win it. We won it by a lot. We won the great state of Ohio. We won Texas. We won Texas. We won Texas by 700,000 votes, and they don't even include it in the tabulations. It's also clear that we have won Georgia.
Yeah.
We're up by 2.5% or 117,000 votes with.
He's saying what I just said.
They're never going to catch us. They can't catch us. Likewise, we've clearly won North Carolina. Where we're up 1.4% or 77,000 votes with only approximately 5% left. They can't catch us. We also, if you look and you see Arizona, we have a lot of life in that. And somebody declared that it was a victory for, and maybe it will be. I mean, that's possible. But certainly there were a lot of votes out there that we could get, because we're now just coming into what they call Trump territory. I don't know what you call it, but these were friendly Trump voters, and that could be overturned. The gentleman that called it, I watched tonight, he said, well, we think it's fairly unlikely that he could catch. Well, fairly unlikely, and we don't even need it. We don't need that. That was just a state that if we would have gotten it, it would have been nice, Arizona, but there's a possibility, maybe even a good possibility. In fact, since I saw that originally, it's been changed and the numbers have substantially come down just in a small amount of votes. So we want that obviously to stay in play. But most importantly, we're winning Pennsylvania by a tremendous amount of votes.
And that's a win. Look at them all. They know with that one, that's a win.
We're up 600. Think of this. Think of this. Think of this. We're up 690,000 votes in Pennsylvania. 690,000. These aren't even close. It's not like, oh, it's close. With 64% of the vote in, it's going to be almost impossible to catch. And we're coming into good Pennsylvania areas where they happen to like your president. I mean, it's so we'll probably expand that. We're winning Michigan. I'll tell you, I looked at the numbers. I said, whoa. I said, That's a lot. By almost 300,000 votes, and 65% of the vote is in. And we're winning Wisconsin. And so we're winning. We don't need all of it. We need, because when you add Texas in, which wasn't added, I spoke with the really wonderful governor of Texas just a little while ago, and Greg Abbott, he said, congratulations. He called me to congratulate me on winning Texas. I mean, we won Texas. I don't think they finished quite the tabulation, but there's no way. And it was almost complete, but he congratulated me. Then he said, by the way, what's going on? I've never seen anything like this. Can I tell you what? Nobody has. So we won by 107,000 votes with 81% of the vote. That's Michigan. So when you take those three states in particular, and you take all of the others, I mean, we have so many, we had such a big night. You just take a look at all of these states that we've won tonight, and then you take a look at the kind of margins that we've won them by. And all of a sudden, it's not like we're up 12 votes and we have 60% left. We won states, and all of a sudden, I said, what happened to the election? It's off. And we have all these announcers saying, what happened? And then they said, oh, because you know what happened? They knew they couldn't win. So they said, let's go to court. And did I predict this, Newt? Did I say this? I've been saying this from the day I heard they were going to send out tens of millions of ballots. I said exactly, because either they were going to win, or if they didn't win, they'll take us to court. So Florida was a tremendous victory, 377,000. Texas, as we said. Ohio, think of this. Ohio, a tremendous state, a big state. I love Ohio. We won by 8.1%, 461. Think of it. Almost 500,000 votes. North Carolina, big victory with North Carolina. And so we won there. We lead by 76,000 votes with almost nothing left. And all of a sudden, everything just stopped. This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Yeah!
So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list. Okay? It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment, and we will win this, and as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it. So I just want to thank you, and I want to thank all of our support. I want to thank all of the people that worked with us, and Mr. Vice President, say a few words, please. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to join you in thanking more than 60 million Americans who have already cast their vote for 4 more years for President Donald Trump in the White House. And while the votes continue to be counted, we're going to remain vigilant, as the President said. The right to vote has been at the center of our democracy since the founding of this nation, and we're going to protect the integrity of the vote. But I really believe with all of my heart, with the extraordinary margins, Mr. President, that you've inspired in the states that you just described, and the way that you launched this movement across the country to make America great again, I truly do believe, as you do, that we are on the road to victory, and we will make America great again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well,
Here you go, President Trump speaking tonight from the White House. Final thoughts, Sean Spicer.
I think first 60% of what he said was perfect. You know, Mark said it earlier. He said a lot of we, right tone. I think he gave the media
all
a gift.
right.
The morning
Well,
show's looking for that quote. Yeah. That was the question.
with that in mind, I will say we got our victory. That's right. Trump said it himself. As far as he's concerned, we won. And I agree. Like, honestly, there's no reason to sit here and try to say, oh, these states can't be tabulated tonight, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's always been tabulated within the first night, within the election night, okay? And with all these mail-in ballots and everything else that was coming in early, there's no reason for it all to be counting up much later. Like, get real. We're done. It's over. Trump won. Trump 2020. 4 more years of Trump. Make America great again. Yeah. And we're out. Thank you all for watching. Love you all. God bless. Love you, Trump. Can't wait to see you in the White House for the next 4 years again. All right. Take care, everybody.